Bum bum wow. Bum 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 bum. Hello everyone, I'm Phillip, and today I'm here to watch Stranger Things Season 4. This one's going to be a little different than normal. This will not be a reaction and review for two reasons. Reason number one is these things are long. Typically I don't shy away from doing longer content, but there's like, 7 of these? And they're each like movie length. Unfortunately, there's so much on my plate right now that I just can't fit this much content in at the moment. But that's the minor reason. The major reason is because I'm saving reactions and reviews for the future with Justin. And I don't want to do like solo reaction review and then us reaction review. I'd rather just wait till I can start watching it with him. And then we can just, do it in one fell swoop. And it was only recently that he expressed interest in wanting to see them. So in the future at some point, hopefully, we'll be starting Stranger Things. But it is on a very long list of a lot of things that we would like to watch together. This is going to be different, as said, not reaction or review. Instead, this is going to be, basically, I'll watch an episode, then I'll come back, we'll have a chat, quick thoughts off the top of my head about what's going on, and then we'll do that after every single episode. 2 disclaimers. This is like the longest intro ever. 2 disclaimers. 1, it's super hot. Thing up now, it sucks. So, yeah, it's not fun. Disclaimer number 2, I do apologize for any stammering, stuttering, slurring, mouth noise. I do have a speech impediment that acts up from time to time, and I have a glandular issue that acts up all the time. I do my best to remove it in post, but if it bleeds through, I do apologize. So that being said, let's get started already. Thank you for sticking through this long intro, and we're going to start episode 1 of Stranger Things. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so that was a thing that just happened. Poor Eddie. They were leaning in hard on the whole like D&D being like Satanist and all that bullshit. Let's say I hypothetically grew up in the 80s because I'm old. It was like that. It was absolutely like that. It was ridiculous. I was very, very young, but even very, very young, I knew that it was absolutely fucking stupid. Like all these like 60 minutes things about Satanism and like heavy metal music, and it was just so like, and everybody was buying it and fear mongering, and I don't know why I'm surprised that it works today. I would like to think that we've evolved to a smarter consciousness as a country, but we really haven't. If anything, now people want to be indoctrinated into some bullshit. This was cool. It was a cool intro to the season. But yeah, we had the juxtaposition of Elle and that gang, and then the rest of the gang doing their living their 2 separate lives. Poor Elle. Her experience is very, very close to my experience in high school. Except mine was more physical. And we'll leave it at that. And then on the other side, we have like this gang. The gang is fractured. Like Max is doing her thing and Lucas is doing his thing. The rest of the gang is doing their thing. I like Eddie a lot. Very cool inclusion. A better Billy, in my opinion, as far as like the new character that's like, supposed to be the cool guy. Except Billy was supposed to be the sex symbol. And I guess in his own way, Eddie could be as well. I like the whole like the montage with where they were layering basketball with the D&D at the same time, like the popular thing versus the unpopular thing, and how they both could be fun. I know which side I would pick. And then you get like Lucas getting the last shot, the game-winning shot. He's the hero. I'm sitting there thinking like, what must that be like to be popular and the hero and be loved by your peers, at that age when it's awkward and awful and all of that. It's just really cool how this episode, the first episode, handled the relationships with everyone and so much splintering. And poor Will, he's trying to be there for 11 and she's just trying to give her presentation on Hopper and then Joyce gets a weird package from Russia that says he's alive, which I think most of us knew anyway, so that's not a huge surprise. So yeah, and then we have this weird thing going on with Chrissy. Well, something from the Upside Down, it looks like, is tormenting her, has like a psychic link to her somehow. And yeah, it's gonna be curious to see how this unfolds. I have a feeling like Eddie might be framed for it due to how he looks and what he likes and all that, I guess we'll go through my notes real quick to see if there's anything I haven't talked about. These are going to be really, like I said, these are going to be brief, just like, initial reactions to what I saw. It was crazy seeing everyone so much older. Stop growing up. Old. I'm getting old. Oh my God. It's like when I see my friends and their kids who are now like graduating from high school or in college and have their own kids. It's like, can you stop? Then we have Dustin's girlfriend. At least it was brief. Okay. If you weren't popular in high school, if you were very unpopular in high school, did you also go to pep rallies and just think about how fucking weird they were? The entire school is worshiping the jocks. Why? It's just sports ball. It's so fucking weird to me to this day. Then the kid gets on the microphone and starts talking to the crowd. Who the fuck is that confident in high school? I wasn't. Then he starts listing off all the people that died.
Think about each and every one of our friends who perished in that fire. What did they die for? For us to lose to some crap school? No.
It's like, dude. Ugh. It's poor taste. I don't know what's the point, but can I please have a Hellfire Club shirt? That'd be really cool. I think they're awesome. Gotta say, Max has great taste in music. Listen to some Kate Bush. Very, very, very good. 2 thumbs up. 1 in this point, because I'm holding up this book. And then, yeah, Chrissy's having these weird, like, Chrissy. It's weird. It's weird that something that's possibly from the Upside Down can talk. It's weird. In 1986, you could get a half ounce for $20. Moving on. I remember this happening to me in school. I don't know if it happened to you as well, but when the teacher called out Elle for getting that F in front of the class, that's not cool. It happened to me. Like, not like in that way, but it happened to me in high school. We had to do a report, and I used the word trepidatious in the report to describe whatever I was talking about. And not to be like, oh, look how big I've liked words. Ever since I was a little kid, I would like read the dictionary. It's dorky, I know, but I had like either no friends or a fake friend a so-called friend who was only around when she had nothing else to do. But yeah, he called me out on it, and the class laughed at me, and then yeah, it's a fucking word. If you went to high school with me, he was the guy who taught economics, who could draw the perfect circles on the chalkboard with the chalk. If you see him, tell him I said fuck you. Learn words, dick. We see Tammy. She can't sing at all. This girl, stop. And then we see Lucas's sister, whose name I forget now. I don't have the cast in front of me. But she was a level 14 rogue, so good for her. That's awesome. That was my class of choice as well. So if you ever need a not good rogue in your D&D campaign, give me a call. I will make your game awful. But yeah. Then we had the basketball versus D&D, popular versus unpopular. And then my last note is, what the fuck? That was a very interesting ending. Very exorcist, very, yeah, that did not feel. I hope he's not framed for it, and he doesn't. I like Eddie. He's my favorite character right now. He's cool. I probably would have been afraid of him in high school. But, yeah, I've matured since then, I hope. All right, those are my quick jaunt through my notes. This was a very episode. We are jumping right in, which, obviously that's what we're going to do. We have time, I think, for one more, depending if how long episode 3 is. 2 more, we'll see. But to start today, we're going to go to episode 2 and see what happens. I will see you on the other side. Okay. So, we have a creature that looks like Jeepers Creepers that has the powers of It Follows mixed with I Know What You Did Last Summer. Okay. I'm not sure what to make of this. I'm not really digging the subplot with Hopper so far. How did he survive? Maybe I'll get an answer. See, this is the thing. Like, I'm obviously doing this in real time, so I'm gonna have questions. It's much like when Justin and I watched Doctor Who. We have questions. People are like, "Well, you figure it out in like this episode." Well, not there yet. So so when you're in the moment, you're all you have is hypothesizing. Not really feeling that. And then I'm assuming Vecna is supposed to be like I don't know. I'm not saying I dislike it, but I'm starting to get that feeling I had in season 3 when everyone else was like, "Oh my god, this is so great," and I was kind of like, it's not. It's got its moments, but it might be an all doom and gloom. I'm just saying. The big bad. This feels like a possession revenge horror movie. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the antagonist. I do like the 11 Mike Will thing going on. I like that a lot. I like this awkward position. Well, not like in a good way, but like just how they're portraying it. I like this awkward position that Will is in. Like, I feel really bad for him. So I like that disconnect between them, like, feels organic, and it feels like something that would happen if you moved, far away from each other. Your best friend would slowly start to drift apart from you, while you're basically trying to be the protector of his girlfriend, who's also your friend. But you know what I mean. Like, he's in a tough spot. And then poor 11 again. Like, fuck. One would think that this is going to lead to her getting her powers back, and then going back to Hawkins to fight the Jeepers Creepers It Follows power having I Know You Did Last Summer motive wielding thing. And then fucking Joyce and conspiracy theory guy are fucking going to Nome, Alaska to try and get Hopper back. I don't know. Why would the guard help? What? Unless it's just for money, obviously. But then how is he gonna, like, how do you lose an American? Like, would he get in trouble too? I don't know. It'll probably be answered. Obviously it will be. Right now, the only thread I'm really liking is the 11 and Mike and Will thing. Everything else feels a little strange. Go to the notes real fast, see if I talk about anything specific that I didn't talk about already. All right, so can we just talk for a minute about how the main jock dude, Chrissy's boyfriend, looks like he's 17 going on 26? Can we have that conversation? Does anybody agree with me on that? Like, okay. I have said this in past reviews on my film, on the film review channel that I used to have. It still exists, but it's on hiatus due to personal things that I am not at liberty to talk about because they're not my personal things to talk about. I want to say that Dustin and his mom were cast perfectly. Like, They look like they could be related. It is crazy. I like when casting is done like that. I wrote, poor Hopper. Also, how are you still alive? Like, you should have been vaporized. Just because you fell to the bottom, it would have done the whole... Maybe he has powers now. I like the idea more that he went into the crack, into the other side. I like that theory more than what we're getting right now. Like, it would have been cool if, like, the antagonist that we're fighting now was actually Hopper, corrupted. That'd have been cool. I wrote, Nancy's friend looks familiar. Found out later his name is Fred. Fred looks familiar. I think I know him from something. But if not, he just looks very familiar to me. And then we have this whole, like, this other subplot with Jonathan and Nancy, and Jonathan's lying and Eleven's lying. There's a bunch of lying going on. Eventually, Will tells Mike the truth, because obviously she's getting teased at the roller rink and bullied. Like, severely bullied. Like, this is slowly entering my territory of being bullied in middle and high school. It's getting there. Thought to myself, Joyce is going to Alaska with $40,000. How much was $40,000 in 1986? Holy crap. Holy crap. Then we have this whole scene with 17 going on 26. Guy, he's rallying, everyone like, rah, you know, for Chrissy, rah. Not only herd mentality, but jock herd mentality is so weird. It's so like this almost creepy masculinity about it. Like, I've always thought like super like, bro, yeah, I'm a jock, yeah, is weird to me. I'm not one. I was good at sports. Like, I was like secretly good at sports. I never did them because I was either too short or, you know, no one wanted me to do them. And then moving on. But just being that outsider, like, I find the human condition so weird on so many levels, and this is one of them. Because then that high school jock culture, like, evolves into the college bro culture. It's kind of the same, like, it's like you're a fetus in the jock culture, and then you know, the larva turns into a big annoying bug, and y'all buzz around together, making the same noise and the same sounds and talking and acting just alike to impress each other. It's not weird or oddly sexual at all. Just saying. This wasn't, but. So I get that, was it the Duffer Brothers? Need to interject as much 80s culture, 80s things into the show. But why the fuck was there a Rubik's Cube on the counter in the video store? When I worked in a video store, you couldn't have shit like that on the counter. I didn't work there in 1986, obviously. It would have been illegal, but maybe it was allowed. I don't know. It's just weird. It just felt like, look at this 80s thing right here. Am I nitpicking? Yeah. They're my notes. This is my review. I'll do what I want. Justin's not here to stop me. Then we get the story of Victor Creel. So is this foreshadowing? Is the upside down room he's in I don't know. It could be a red herring. It could be he was possessed by the other side, upside down somehow. I just don't. I hope this payoff is good. I do. I am intrigued. I'm not saying I hate it, but it's definitely like the Jeepers Creepers with the follows powers with the motive of I know what you did last summer. Then we get that scene where Elle has had enough. Fucking that fucking dick. Says she can go cry to her dad. Oh no, she can't. Then 11 grabs the fucking skate. It just clocks her in the head. Yeah. Wish I had done that. And then the bully's on the ground crying like, oh. This is when the review's gonna get like, you know, divisive. There's gonna be people out there that sympathize with her. Well, she didn't have to resort to violence. How much more bullshit is she supposed to take? She's being assaulted. Like, physically assaulted. And then, this happens every time. The bully is the bully. Just pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes. And when the victim fights back, all of a sudden the bully is the victim. And everyone feels bad for them. I have a story I could tell you. I'm not going to tell it right now, but I have a story I could tell you. It's just amusing how what popularity and being from the right family and having the right money and the right standing in the community, what that can buy you. I know all too well. And then my last few notes are about me, the whole possession revenge thing, and then all the movies it feels like. I don't know how I feel about this, y'all. I don't know. We're going to try and get episode 3 in before bed. I'm going to have to message Justin and let him know I'll be watching when he comes home. So we're going to get one more in so we can try to do 4, 5, 6, 7 tomorrow. I think we get those 4 done tomorrow. Willing, the neighbor's willing, and my asthma's not acting up because they're, turning this into a smoke shop. So yes, let's go on to episode 3 and see where the plot goes from here. Right now I'm iffy on most of it, but yeah. So, as before, I will see you on the other side.
I said leave me alone. Can I say no? I can't say no. He'll leave me.
It's just a cop. Doctors are wrong.
Right, of course.
So just finished episode 3. So the big bad is now Jeepers Creepers with the powers from It Follows, with the motive from I Know What You Did Last Summer, now with he's Professor X now. He has the power of Cerebro. I know I might be in the minority here. Ow. And I completely respect that. I do. I am in a lot of things, not even intentionally. It's just, sometimes you see things and this is kind of fucking stupid. I'm sorry. This is stupid right now. This is not. There's too much borrowing from so much stuff. So I'm supposed to think that Victor Creel, his family was killed by this demon, this Jeepers Creepers that follows I Know What You Did Last Summer, Professor X Cerebro guy. 1959. Demon was living in his house. Tried to exorcise it, pissed it off. Killed his family in retaliation, took their eyes. Didn't contort them. Didn't it follows them or anything. I don't know. Maybe it didn't say. So, my question is, and again, only on episode 3, so everything here is hypothesizing, is, thinking out loud. What the fuck has the thing been doing since 1959? Has it been asleep this whole time? We've had mind flayers and demigorgons and all this stuff, and this thing has just been like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to chill here. As of right now, I'm not feeling this at all. But that's not to say I'm not interested. Let's not get those two things twisted. I'm very interested. If I wasn't, let's stop watching. I've done it before with shows. I said in the last episode that I hope that they stick the landing in the end with this. I want them to. This does have potential to be something. It does. And they could explain all of this and make it the most awesome, cool thing ever. But they always have to interject these just like kind of dumb things. Like last season, spoilers for season 3 if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you'd be watching this one if you haven't. Kids infiltrate the secret military base just effortlessly and with sass. And 11 gets caught because she hit the girl. But that's not going to mean anything now, is it? We spent 2 episodes building up this like tension with her bully, and then bullying the gang, and that's where it was going to get her caught. And then Paul Reiser shows up, and everything he said it made no sense. He has a program that could give her... I know I'm supposed to suspend disbelief. I know I am. It's fiction. It's science fiction. For fuck's sake. I get that. I know that. But he has a program that can give her powers back. Like, I mean, we've already fucking completely ripped off Elfin Lied. But... it just didn't make any sense. Like, I'll get to it in my notes, but I just... there are things that I do like. I'm not trying to shit all over it. But the main driving force for the big bad is so... it's just too much... Not just existing properties. It's so much corny horror movie. Again, I can feel the heat. I know people are like, you're just being an asshole. You don't understand. Or you've seen it all already. Now, granted, when this comes out, it'll be all the episodes back to back to back. So it'll be interesting to watch this and see the progression. So I think this is kind of a fun little experiment to do. Just to see the evolution of reaction and opinion. But I am not feeling this right now. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to. I'm not going into it like, this is dumb, I'm going to hate this. And then the plot with Hopper, it just feels so tacked on. And Paul Reiser being there feels so shoehorned, and he can give her powers back. And he says there's a war coming. How do you know that? How do you know that? That sounds like conjecture. And then on top of that, he says something to the extent of life as we know it is on the line. How do you know that? You don't even know what you're fighting yet. Unless you do, and I don't know that yet. Then I'm in the dark. From what I know right now, which is the review of episode 3 right now. It makes no sense. I just... Season 1 was so good. I'm not gonna naysay it. I said I wasn't going to. But if this turns out to be inferior, like season 3 was to me, even more so right now, because at least season 3 was like a pretty much copy paste of season 2 with the bad and the whole. But I did like the mind flayer aspect of season 3. Because even if other parts of the plot were kind of corny or dumb or made no sense, like kids breaking into a secret underground Russian base, there at least was like a cool, the other side and just all this cool. This isn't cool. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are digging the shit out of this. And that's totally fair. Like, if you like this a lot, fair play. I'm glad you're liking it. But I am still invested in the story and where it's going. I'm not going to just like throw in the towel, like I said. But I'm also not going to be like, oh, this is all right. I don't care for it, but it's okay. No, what kind of review is that? So, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Let's go to my notes and see what I haven't talked about yet. Little moments that I might have liked and all that stuff. When the helicopter was landing at Paul Reiser's house, I thought it was a UFO at first. And I was like, okay, can we fucking stop? For a second there, I was like, okay, can if it was a UFO or some weird shit, it would just jumped the shark, and I would have been like, okay, stop putting so much shit in there. I'm surprised the helicopter wasn't made out of Rubik's Cubes. So we went from the government thinking that 11's doing it to now she's not, because she doesn't have her powers. So did Paul Reiser tell them that she didn't have her powers? Could we have had that scene? Because now they're collecting everybody. I mean, and I forgot to mention last episode, that's cool to see the gang getting back together slowly. In this one, we had Nancy joining the fold. So it's kind of cool to see them slowly get back together. I like that. That part I do like. I think the way they went about getting, everyone, like with 11 and Will and all of that, and Jonathan, all them back, I think that could have been better as it's being told right now. But when they said that, I was like, what if 11 was really doing it somehow? Like, she didn't have her powers, but she had a psychic connection still. Before we found out it was Demon in the attic. That hasn't done shit since 1959. But then I thought, what if she doesn't have her powers? Because Vecna, I'm going to call it Vecna because that's what we're calling it. What if Vecna is using her powers? And that's why she has none. Because it's using, like, somehow, I don't know. I'm just, again, it's a theory. They have theories in the episode 2 that, yeah, okay. I appreciated the potheads eating at the table. Not gonna say I can identify with that, but just maybe, if true, not in many years, but once upon a time, perhaps. We have this tension between Mike and 11. He didn't say He didn't assign his things love to her, and she's feeling isolated and like a monster. And he says, they're all nobodies, and you're a superhero. Foreshadowing, they're literally going to become nobodies because now they're erased from the plot. Apparently, the government's going to make that go away, and she's going to go back to Hawkins and be a superhero. Okay, and okay, we'll get there. Maybe if the cops are taking your girlfriend away who has magical telekinetic mind, powers, maybe don't call her 11 in front of the cops. Her name is Jane. Just a thought. We see Hopper in what I consider the weakest subplot right now. It is so absurd. Do we have to do something with, like, he's in a Russian slave labor camp? Why couldn't he have died? Why couldn't he have been in the upside down? Why couldn't he went in the crack? He somehow didn't get vaporized, and when they went to slave labor camp, and now there's this weird fucking subplot of Joyce trying to rescue him. Why? I like the actor. I think he's cool, but was this just to give him something to do? I don't get it. I'm sorry. Maybe people think this is cool. I think it's just kind of absurd. I did appreciate more. Let's get some positivity in here. Some more positive. There's been positivity. Some more though. I did appreciate as the gang's getting back together and they're kind of just like they're Scooby-Doo figuring it out. I like those moments, even if they are kind of corny. Can we go somewhere or do something with a stupid, just the mindless jock idiots, please? I'm hoping that the kid that got hit with like the psychic thing in the truck is going to get, it follows it in front of 17 going on 26, because he's annoying, and I want him to not be in the story anymore. I'm assuming though this is why the other bullies are being written out, because we can only have room for one group of asshole popular dickhead people in high school. I don't know. I thought when they split up that the one kid was going to get, then they would think that Eddie did. They're stupid. They're really, really stupid. Sorry, they're dumb. But more positivity. We get Team Dustin and Steve back. Yay. Their chemistry together is off the charts. It's so good. They need to have like a buddy, like a mystery series where they just go around solving mysteries together. Like basically like Supernatural, but with them. Do that. That would be so good. He's always like, I'm always the goddamn babysitter. Well, true. Then I wrote, thinking back to them eating food and all that, I think if I were actually stoned, I might enjoy this more. It seems like this would be much more enjoyable. Like, under the influence. If you were, while watching it, let me know. Was it more enjoyable? Did you enjoy it? Or was it still like, what the shit? We can appreciate when the popular people can be the bullies. He's bullying Eddie's bandmates. No repercussions. Yeah, okay. Now, I am biased. I'll admit that. I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm 100% biased, but... And then this fucking weird-ass subplot with Hopper and breaking his ankle to get out of his shackles, and... Then we get to the part where he has a way to bring back her powers. He has this magical computer that can not only bring back her powers, but make her even more powerful than before. That's very, very convenient. And I already complained about what he said to her in the diner. I felt bad for the cook at the diner. Made all that food. I hate seeing food go to waste on shows and in real life at that. I wasn't like the poorest kid in the world, but there were times we had to reach out for help to like the local churches or whatnot to eat. There are reasons for that I won't get into because, apparently I already defiled the family name as I talk about stuff openly, but let's just say I don't like food going to waste. And then, it's targeting Max, which means This has to go somewhere now. They're targeting one of like the main characters now. This Jeepers Creepers that follows. I know you did last summer, Professor X. And so now it's going to come to a head. And then, see, then the end. And then this is what I'm talking about. The end. It's like, Max. Max. That's so corny. That was not nothing. You could have done the Max thing, and then like done a close up of her face, and she's just like, "Why do we need to see the Jeepers Creepers monster's eyes open? Why?" I'm sorry, it's corny. It's corny. This feels like this feels like Goosebumps, like legit Goosebumps. Like this was written for preteens with really good budget and in the 80s. Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna, yeah, that's all. As you can see, it is bright as hell out. It is approaching my bedtime. I am a vampire. I'm gonna wrap this one up for now. We will continue this tomorrow and hopefully finish. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 4 more to go, and then the 2 whenever those are released. I haven't looked into it because I'm trying to avoid spoilers like usual.
Relieved. Happy.
Billy, no, it's not true.
That's why you stood there, isn't it, Max?
All right. We just finished episode 4. Can we just say right now, as far as the season is going, that Max is clearly the MVP of the season. I've not really been a fan of her. She's fine. She's a good actress. She tends to play the same role over and over and over. In the few things I've seen her in, she's been pretty much Max and everything else, and she's good at it. I like that we're getting some development with her character here. I still think the thing with Hopper and Joyce and Murray is the absolute weakest part of the story right now. I think you could just cut out Hopper, this whole Hopper thing. Now they've been abducted or something, they're being sold. They're going to be in the labor camp maybe too. I don't know. You could just remove that entire thing. And I think it doesn't change the story at all, other than Joyce not being there when the attack happened. The story goes on fine. It just feels like padding just to give the actors something to do. I think you could have found a better use of Hopper. I think the way Hopper went out at the end of season 3 deserved better if he's going to come back. I don't like it. It feels lazy. It doesn't even feel lazy. It feels stupid. I'm sorry, it does. I'm not into it at all. I like that we have now that the splintered group is slowly, like I talked before about how the group is slowly reforming. Like adding a new member each episode, and I like that now the group that moved away is now coming back. So pretty soon the group is going to be a unified front. I don't know, just like the performances are good. They are. And everyone involved in front of the camera is doing phenomenal. They are. I just think the story is so... yeah. But I will say I'm glad that they addressed the whole... I believe it was Steve that addressed the whole, like...
Just pops out in the 50s, kills one family, he's like, I'm good. And poof, he just disappears, just gone. Only to return 30 years later and start killing some random teens? No, I don't buy it.
So thank you for addressing that. I have said that, when you watch these in real time and you review them in real time, it's an evolution. Because you're getting the story, obviously, an episode at a time. So you don't know the entire thing yet. So I didn't know that the next episode they were actually going to address it. And they did, and I'm happy that they did. But yeah, overall, Yeah. Just nothing feels like a good hook. I'm not buying this monster thing. So, yeah, let's just go to my notes really quick and see what I have that we haven't talked about. So, as they're priming 11 as a weapon again, we do find out something else was touched upon. Another thing that was kind of confused on from the last one was like the government is going to be all of a sudden like, we're going to help you now. But it turns out there's still members of the government that are looking for her in a bad way. and parts of the government that are looking for her in the good way. So I'm glad they addressed that too, because I was a little like, what's going on there? Then wrote some stuff down. We're gonna save it for the end, because at the end of these reviews now, we're gonna have a monster synopsis. So stay tuned for that. Yuri is really fucking annoying. I try my best to suspend disbelief when it comes to things, but when Hopper was fighting that guard in that shed, like, it wasn't windy, it wasn't storming, it wasn't raining, it wasn't like they didn't hear anything until the gunshots. I don't know. It just seems like if you have like a slave labor camp, then you would kind of like be, okay. Then Hopper's driving away on the snowmobile, and apparently Stormtrooper aim is not relegated to just Star Wars. So yeah. Overall, I wrote Dr. Hatch is dumb. He's dumb. But then we get this very Hannibal Lecter scene, and can we just give it up for a second for Mr. Robert Englund? The man is a horror treasure, and I'm glad he is in this. One of the highlights of the season so far, easily. Fantastic actor, and I like that, having that actor there and then including his character dealing with fire. It's nice, especially with a creature that can kind of attack you in an alternate dimension in your head, like sleep and all that. Yeah, so we'll get to the end though. We'll get to the end. So the next time I start seeing mutilated animals strewn about, I'm immediately going to think Spawn of Satan. Just because that's the obvious, conclusion to come to. I like the line. I do like the line.
I suppose all evil must have a home.
That was good. Probably one of the better lines of the season so far. And then the police are just coming after everybody now. They're chasing Robin and Nancy, and some kind of police are after the other gang that's running away in the pizza van. I had a theory at first that Billy was going to be her guardian angel, Max's guardian angel, because they mentioned guardian angel, and she was, reading. That was a very touching scene. That was a really nice scene. It really was. Again, I said the actress playing Max is the MVP so far of the season, but no, that wasn't to be. And then I get it. Again, I'm sorry I'm nitpicking so much. I know you're probably pissed off. Like, just sit back and enjoy it. Those words are never good. But the whole music lifeline thing, it's another, like, they keep making these leaps of, logical leaps of faith that are always correct. And I get you need to for the narrative to progress, but I wish there was a little more trying and failing, or the steps to get to that absolute right decision are worked for a little harder. It feels like when I complain about Doctor Who and the guesstimate solution, I guess, is always the right one. That's kind of what this felt like. It is, again, it's fine. I'm not like saying it's detracting from the story. Like, I think the whole Hopper side plot is. I think it's really hindering the story big time. But then they play the music, and Kate Bush running up that hill. I saw some people complaining on my Facebook page about that they wish they would use another Kate Bush song. If you're making a popular franchise and you want to expose people to Kate Bush, why not choose the most popular song to get their feet wet? I wish more people would discover Kate Bush. She's fucking fantastic. Just an amazing artist. I get why he's running up that hill. I get it. And it fucking applied to the scene and what she's going through. So it has symbol, and they're not just using it to be like, oh, look, we're including this song in here now because it's the 80s. So maybe stop being a music snob. And, I don't like people who gatekeep, like gatekeepers, be it movies or music or whatever. Like, your opinion is just that. Stop being a dick about it. If people want to think Kate Bush's Running Up the Hill song is the best song ever, they are fucking allowed to. It's a great song. Do I think it's her best song? No. Do I think it's the best version of that song? No. That might be sacrilegious. I got off on a side tangent there, but just stop gatekeeping. Stop it. Stop it. Your opinion is not the right opinion. It's just an opinion. So, moving on. And then Max is like kind of in the upside down, I guess, like mentally, which is interesting. And then the monster, who we're going to rename here in a second, I have to write it all down because it's getting ridiculous now. It says, "What are you doing in here, Max?" So like it presented itself to her without him knowing it, and she just walked into it. But then we see like his world with everyone, you know, trapped in like the sculptures, and they're all like contorted and stuff. Everything's popping. All right, so we have a monster synopsis. Monster synopsis. New thing now. The monster just keeps evolving into different things. It looks like Jeepers Creepers, has the powers from It Follows, has the motive of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and has the powers of Professor X and Cerebro. Now, it is the Ring. It will kill you in 7 days. On top of that, it is, he's Carrie. He has magic, like, telekinesis powers. They can, like, throw objects. And he kind of has the Resident Evil arm. If you think I'm nitpicking, I'm not. If you think I'm being ridiculous, I'm not. Because right now it is 7 different things. I know you'd be like, well, you could say that about everything. Yes, but this is very specific. Also, no, and number 8. He's fucking Freddy Krueger because he can bring you into like into the dream world and kill you in the dream world. Let's just go to episode 5. I get it. I can just feel the heat. Like I said, it's just getting hotter and hotter. Maybe it's the fires from whatever the fuck. I don't know. Let's just go to episode 5. Let's go to episode 5. Let's go. So yes, I'll see you on the other side. There were some good things. There were some good things in this one, but there are just parts of the plot that I know I sound like a broken record. I am 100% aware. Just the parts of the plot I don't like are obviously going to be there still, and I'm obviously going to talk about them. Now, Joyce and Murray landed a plane, didn't die, you know, plot armor. It's fine. It's fine. But now they're there, and then Hopper and I forget his name, the guard. They're there, and then we have Argyle and Will and Mike and Jonathan. They were with Unknown Hero Agent Man, which I think is a great fucking name. I really do like that. I like that part a lot. And then we have the Losers Club. Breaking into Pennywise's house, trying to find the lair of the beast. This has to be intentional now. It's like every single episode is borrowing from a different thing in horror, which we'll update when we do the monster analysis or monster synopsis, whatever the hell I called it in last episode. I don't want to keep going on like a broken record, so I'm going to try and be positive. Let's be positive. What did I like? I like the idea of Max drawing what she saw since she couldn't communicate it. Thought that was cool. And then Nancy put it together, like the puzzle. That reminded me of In the Mouth of Madness. And then going to the house, you have to... It felt very Losers Club. Going to confront Pennywise the first time. It did. Instead of going like, you know, down, they went up. We learn that Vecna is like in the attic, in the upside down. My favorite part, and I'm not sure if I said it in a previous episode or not, but I've been hoping the entire time that the idiot jock brigade was out looking for Eddie. I was hoping that when the one kid turned, it would be in front of 17 going on 26. And it did. It happened just like I wanted. It happened way cooler than I expected, with the poor kid going under the water, then popping out, and all of it. Cool. There are things that, like, conveniences, and sometimes you can look past them. I try to, even if I complain about them or bring them up. You know, this is how a narrative gets pushed forward, is with these conveniences. Was it convenient for him to do it right there without as many sightings in the build like we saw with everyone else? Was it convenient that he got put into the air and then, got deformed like that, and Max was up there for like 700 years? It's part of the story. It's fine. I got what I wanted finally. I got something I wanted finally with him turning in front of, 17 going on 26. And also Eddie, they're seeing it again. So now he's like, see, I didn't kill Chrissy. You testosterone-ridden fool. I'll get you, you fools. I like that. That was my favorite part of this episode. I should probably start doing that from now on. My favorite part of the episode. So I don't look like, Debbie Downer, Mr. Complainy guy. I'm not bitching about it. I'm not feeling it. Also, copy and paste from like 700 fucking different things. And not even doing it subtly. It is like I guess if you're going to copy, you might as well, copy off some good stuff. But the 11 stuff just feels half-baked. And that could be because we only know half of the story. It's like, we need you because life as we know it is going to end, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So kids start dying in Hawkins, and it freaks out, like, the government. They show Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser freaks out, gets 11, takes her back for Nina. Brings back, Matthew Modine. Brings him back. Ugh. He's a fine actor. His character just irritates me. I hate, like, manipulative parental figures, but, it's a whole ball of yarn we're not going to unwind today. But I don't see how we got from point A to point K. But I'm hoping, as has happened a few times, where I question something and then they bring it up. They address it in like the next episode, which is cool. Like, I can't see the future. I don't know. I guess the only reason I'm still watching is because I'm this far and I enjoy the characters and the relationships. Like, this Nancy Robin teaming is cool, and Steve and Dustin is always cool, and I like how Steve's like, can I be paired with anybody else? That's kind of funny. Being self-aware. So I think it's more the characters are keeping me invested, but the story right now just feels like it just feels messy. All over the place. The whole thing with Hopper and Joyce, that's just garbage to me right now. I know it's harsh. I know it is, but I'm not going to pretend I don't dislike it. I do. I think it's just weak. And I'm going to keep harping on it. I'm sorry. As long as it doesn't, it's so unnecessary. It's just okay. And then Vecna as a villain, like, it just feels so boogeyman. It just feels like all these different things that I've compared it to in the monster synopsis. That it doesn't feel original. It doesn't feel particularly scary. I like what he can do, but it's an amalgamation of so many things that I've seen before. And I'm sure at the end, like when I do the season review, it's going to be like just all the same shit over and over again. But I'll have a full story then. But right now we have episode 5, so let's get into the notes for that and talk about anything I have not discussed already. When they are going through the house, the government, they have one of those they had the triangle game with the pegs in it. I hypothetically am old enough to have had that game, and I played it a lot. Hypothetically, of course. Also had a Rubik's Cube. I still do, actually. Somewhere. Boom. I am very disappointed in myself right now that I did not grab this earlier. How cool this would have been to like been in the background after the episode I complained about it. Yes, Rubik's Cube. Then we see Matthew Modine return. I wrote, oh shit. He says, you're home now. No, she was home before. I don't like him. I hope 11 just like his face and his head. He never returns. Then we have the conversation at the table, and Dustin is there, and Max is there, et cetera, et cetera. Nancy's there. Speaking of Nancy, Dustin talks about Max going into Vecna's mind like Freddy Krueger, which I referenced. Thank you. See, again, they keep doing it, and I'm happy. Like, they're self-aware about it. So I can't be mad. I can be like irritated that it's like kind of like but at the same time, they're not being blind to the fact that they're obviously doing all these things. And also Nancy. Okay. And then 11 wakes up and her head is shaved again. And she's back in the Hawkins facility with all the other kids. Yeah, it's just like that like feeling for her, because you're just that's gotta suck. Like, she's made so much progress and trying to have a normal life and, be a regular person, and along comes Papa. I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't like him. Then we get something that I think is clearly foreshadowing. I'm not even thinking I know it. It's clearly foreshadowing. Will is talking to Mike.
I think it's just scary to open up like that. To say how you really feel. Especially to people you care about the most. What if they don't like the truth?
He stuffed what looked like was like a picture, maybe rolled up and put it in the backpack. I think that's what it was. It was shown. It's never been discussed, which is good. You don't need to bring up everything. And then the whole thing where where Dustin said she went into his mind like Freddy Krueger. Again, it's the leap of faith. That's the right outcome. It's like, and there was a chance for them later to explore something, and they didn't. Like, explore more things that aren't the right answer instead of walking right into the right answer every single time. I get narratively, it moves the story faster, but at the same time, So I like that Will said that to Mike. Like, something's brewing there with Will, and yeah. So I wonder what that picture is, because he grabbed it for a reason. It's sentimental. Like, he brought that specific non-necessity item with him. Non-essential item with him. So we'll see if and when that pans out. I'm assuming it will. Other than the scene where the one kid got possessed and killed in front of 17 going on 26 and Eddie, the best scene, though, as far as... because I was just happy I got what I wanted, so yay to that. But the best scene, the best character scene, was when Hopper was telling his Agent Orange story, talking about his wife and his kid and all that. And I'm not going to go deep into that, but I have a very good friend who has a very similar kind of story. So I can only imagine how hard that must have been for them to have heard that, knowing what they went through in their life and are still going through. On one hand, it's very, 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 very cool. Not in a good way. I mean, it was like, yay, cool. It's just like, I'm glad that this story was told, because this story is very real. People like to pretend the government doesn't lie to you, but these poor people got poisoned, and their ability to procreate and have a lineage was stolen from them. And that's supposed to be okay. I like, he says that they were told it was harmless. Clearly it fucking wasn't. It was just a pesticide, but man. I always pause and wonder. There's nothing wrong with thinking about the other side of things. What if, the government has a history of lying to the people for its own agenda? Why would it not be doing it now? It's just something to think about. So while I don't believe, certain things, like I know the earth isn't flat, but it's fascinating to think about what they believe and why. Like, I like putting myself in someone else's shoes and then just kind of seeing it through their eyes and just trying to kind of grasp where they're coming from. Even if I don't agree with it, it's still very fascinating to me. And then Hopper says, I wasn't cursed. I am the curse. And I 100% identify with that. I feel like everyone that I come in contact with just suffers because of me. I feel that way with Justin a lot. I try not to focus on that, but sometimes I do think about it, and yeah. I know I've been picking on 17 going on 26 a lot, but I have to give major respect, because we are in the same team as far as people who write in all capital letters. I have been absolutely against the cursive. You want to talk about a conspiracy? What the fuck is up with the cursive brainwashing agenda? Why do I have to write in cursive? Why? It's stupid. It's ugly. Why do all the letters have to connect? Why? It's dumb. That's how adults write. No, that's fucking stupid. Write any way you fucking want to write. You want to write in all caps? It was just cool to see someone else writing in all caps. I don't see it very often, and I got to give a shout out when I do, because I was very anti-cursive in school. It made no sense to me. It felt like we were being assimilated. It was just dumb. Like, why? Why do we have to write in cursive? Why? Why? Okay, we can learn it. That's fine, but why do we have to? You can write any fucking way you want. So, Yeah, Vecna. I don't know. Vecna can stop saying people's names at the beginning and end of every sentence. He's like, Max, what are you doing, Max? Max, go make me a sandwich, Max. Max, don't add any mayo, Max. Max, don't forget the cheese, Max. Max. I don't like Vecna. I don't like him. Then I wrote, they break into the house to fight Pennywise. I mean Vecna, sorry. I like the idea of Marie being a black belt in the way that I didn't like that entire, obviously that entire subplot I absolutely dislike. But I like the idea of him sparring versus a real world scenario. I like the idea that it's different because it is. Some of this I'm saving for patrons, so you can have little nuggets, little Easter eggs to read. But the gang that is on the run from the government, they're going to fucking Salt Lake City to talk to Susie. I am not going to enjoy the next episode. I hate Susie. Fine actress. Don't get it confused. I hate the character. She's fucking obnoxious. And I don't... I'm just be prepared after the next episode. Just be prepared. If you don't want to hear me bitch about her, just don't watch then, I guess. But I don't like her. She's fucking irritating. And the never-ending story bullshit. God, that was the worst part of season. It was awful. I wish I'd been doing reactions to that. I wish I'd been doing reactions. I think my eyes would have been rolling in the back of my head like freaking Max's were in the last episode. Okay, then I referenced the part that could have been a clue. They didn't explore it. Steve is in the room, opens the vent, grabs the jar with a spider in it. Spider crawls on him, he drops it. I would drop it too. It'd be fucking scary. Spiders don't scare me, but like a Black Widow, I've seen them in real life when I lived in Phoenix. Almost backed into one. Remind me of that story time. The time I encountered 3 deadly venomous things in 1 week. Remind me someone in the comments to tell that story in story time. Phoenix is scary. It's like little Australia. But no, then they just close the door and leave. But maybe the spiders were a clue. Maybe, like, they weren't, but they could have been. Explore it. Why were there spiders in the vent? That seems very specific of a thing to not explore. But that's not the right clue. So we need to just explore it. Humor me. Come on. Then we got Papa bribing all the kids with shitty candy. Yuri still sucks. Yuri's awful. Can we have the Russian guy from the last season? He was adorable. Why can't we have him back? And then at the end, 11 is brought back to life because Papa is a massive dickbag and fucking almost killed her. And she's running away, and then people tackle her or whatever and hold her down. She goes, "Rah!" And the lights explode, and she kabooms them and kapows them, like my Patreon. Haha. She has her powers back briefly. So it's like the flicker of the light that we saw when she was doing the whole light thing they were doing with the circle of lights. It flickered on just for a minute, and maybe that was the analogy we were going for. And then when she has it spinning around full speed, she'll be like super mega 11 then. And my last note for this episode is just kill him already. Talking about Papa. I don't like him very much. Those are the notes for episode 5. So yeah, I'm going to take a little lunch break, make some food, try and cool down. I am very sweaty and gross right now because of the heat. Gonna take a short break and then continue on with episode 6. We're gonna try and finish these up tonight. Well, the part 1 tonight. I can't finish it up because it's not out yet. Part 2. So as usual, I will wait. I almost forgot to do monster synopsis. All right. As I said, I'm going to end every episode or every review of the episode with the update of Vecna and who and what he is now. So let's go through it. Vecna is... he looks like the monster from Jeepers Creepers. He has the powers from It Follows. He has the motive of I Know What You Did Last Summer. He has the powers of Professor X and Cerebro. He's also the Ring, because you die in 7 days. He's Carrie, because he can move things around. He has the body shape and look of a Resident Evil monster. He also has the powers of Freddy Krueger. He can kill you in your dreams and in your mind. And he is now Pennywise. Boom. How many more things is Vecna going to be? Stay tuned to find out. Now, the air is on. I was like, oh shit, I forgot. I'm going to go back and make food now. So yeah, see you after episode 6. Bye. Oh yeah. Ow, ow, ow. Oh yeah. Ow, ow, ow. Chicka, chicka. Well, I wasn't expecting to see that. And also, Steve got taken to the upside down. All right, we just finished episode 6. I'm pretty much just riding in the car at this point, y'all. I don't know what else I can say. It's just gonna be. Apparently, Joyce and Murray and Yuri are going to jailbreak Hopper from the slave labor camp. Apparently, Hopper and all of the other Russian gentlemen, the prisoners, are going to fight a Demogorgon because, of course, of all the places that Hopper could have been taken, in all of Russia, the worst, most secret prison ever, who somehow lets an American live, who already escaped and attacked guards more than once, has been disruptive, and tried to escape, and he's still alive. They're not going to kill him. I get it. Plot armor, but come on. Apparently, this slave labor camp, the secret, malignant, evil camp, somehow just happens to have a Demogorgon. It just feels like they are trying to tether. What this feels like is, this feels like that they had this entire different story with Joyce and Hopper and all this, like a non-Stranger Things based one, like it's a spinoff. And now they're trying to Cloverfield it to be part of the Stranger Things universe, is what it feels like. The Hopper story is dumb. It's been dumb, and it just got really... If you like it, that's fine. It is. I'm not trying to shit on something I like, but I'm also allowed to not like it. And this is an honest review of what I'm seeing. So this feels like very much square peg round hole. This feels very much like, 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was a completely different movie, and they just tacked Cloverfield onto it. This feels like it was a completely different spinoff, and they just tack Stranger Things onto it. That's what it feels like. Like, what are the fucking odds that the guy who has experience fighting Demogorgons is in a slave labor camp in Russia, where there is a Give me that one. Come on. Come on. Yeah, this is dragging the show down for me. And then with Joyce and Murray and Yuri going to the labor camp, this is just like the kids infiltrating the secret Russian base all over again. Just, it's a little bit much. And yeah. Then the On the Road gang goes and visits Susie. And that was just... What's this, like, completely absurd thing we can do and put it in the show? Like, it felt almost like slapstick and absurd comedy when it just felt like it kind of jumped the shark on that concept, like the slapstick and absurd, like, did Susie have to be in, like, mega dysfunctional house with, like, crazy wild children, one who is a Native American, I think, and the other one is a director, and other ones are cooking, and Susie's on the roof playing with the antenna. Like, I don't know. And then the dad is in the study all the time because he's a horrible parent. I will get to that later. I know it feels like I'm bitching about everything, but they just keep doing stuff like that. I can't not talk about it. They keep doing stuff like this. I just take a shot every time I just sigh. And then the main group is trying to find Eddie. 17 going on 26 is a fucking moron. But now you know what it was like to grow up in the 80s. Like, that was everyone. Like, every so-called Christian family values, which is just a fucking horseshit term coined by I'm not gonna get into that. It's stupid. And it's one of those American phrases that means nothing if you dig below the surface, just so people can feel better than and box themselves in a way that if you don't fit into that box, then something's wrong with you. But it's like, you boxed yourself in there and labeled it. Why do I have to conform to that label? You know, that kind of thing. You know, very much Team Eddie in his speech earlier on about conformity and all that. It's 100%. You know, 17 going on 26 is just dumb. And it gives me flashbacks to just like fear-mongering and the pitchfork crowd. You don't need logic. You don't need reason. You just need sensationalism and some fuel for your brain to ignite. And I use brain very, very loosely. So I'm glad they're tackling that. I am. It's annoying. His character's supposed to be annoying. His character's supposed to be kind of ignorant and reactionary. Being those two things does not make you right. I don't need to know all the answers. I know what I know. Then you don't know anything because you don't know all the answers. And I'm trying to get too preachy, but I lived through it. So they still think Eddie did it, because I was hoping that 17 going on 26 would see that and be like, wait, Eddie he was right here. He wasn't like going like, or anything like that. He was just like, holy shit, he looked just as afraid as you did, sir. But when you live in a bubble that you construct for yourself, there is nothing beyond the periphery. So that's annoying. He started a freaking mob and the police can't do anything. And the poor parents are trying to rally around their, they're trying to find their kids. Yeah, then the gang, they figure out the compass thing. Again, it's fine. It's another convenience, but it's fine. These conveniences are what moves the narrative along. I just wish they were not so like, this is the right thing, and then this is the right thing, and this is the right thing, and this is the right thing, and here we are. You could I just think you could tell the same story in a more nuanced way. But yeah, they determine that there's a gate, a snack size gate in the lake, and Steve graciously volunteers to take his clothes off and jump into the lake and find it. Then he gets pulled into the Upside Down, and those scary bat things are attacking him. That was just horrific. Like, that was just like, holy crap, poor guy. Jeez. And then everyone dived in after him, so I'm assuming they're gonna go in there and save him, and everyone will be in the Upside Down. So then they'll all be in the Upside Down to fight Vecna, I assume. I guess. But then we have Max and Lucas and Dustin captured by the police, or, there. So we'll see what happens. They're split up again, it looks like. We'll see what happens. I don't know about that. So that's the gist of what's going on. I've already accepted I am not 100% on board with this season. I think if you removed the entire Cloverfield tacked on plot, I was just going to accept it, but then they had to tack on the Demogorgon thing. So yeah, I'm in the car. I'm along for the ride, and we're going to see how part 1 ends when we go to that. Let's go ahead and go through the notes really quick, and let's talk about anything I may have written down, specifics or moments I'd liked that I did not cover. I loathe unnecessary jump scares. I think they're cheap, they're lazy, they're irritating. When the fish was swimming in the thing, and then the Vecna, the whatever, grabbed the fish. Wasn't necessary. I jumped. It hurt. I'm Mr. Glass, so it wasn't enjoyable. Then they're torturing that one agent guy who got captured by the government. And I'm like, there's a lot of torturing people by the government in this season. Like, an unusual amount, it feels like. Then Papa says to 11, he says, we must proceed carefully. If we go too fast, you could be lost. And I'm like, dude, you almost just fucking killed her in the last one. Like, he learned his lesson. No, he didn't. Don't give me that shit. He did not. I wish you just had at the end. And also, why not just make that speech to her in the beginning? Did you need her to be afraid? Like, really, like, you can't help her get her powers back in a more organically nice way? I mean, I get he's not a nice person, but I don't know. I think he could have approached that with, other than like, I'm going to inject you and throw you in this thing, and you're scared shitless now. Have fun reliving your past that you forgot. Maybe he needed that. Maybe he needed the adrenaline, the endorphins, all that stuff. Maybe, I don't know. And then when the cop said, we'll be having a meeting at town hall, everyone is welcome, I wrote, not a town hall scene. I hate those because it's always stupid. The stupid public. Then when Joyce and Murray and Yuri relay their plan, or when Joyce and Murray relay their plan and Yuri, you know, they're all doing their thing, I wrote, they're going to do a fucking prison break, the three of them versus all of the other people. Which it turned out not necessarily, but we'll see how it plays out. I know I'm being doom and gloom right now, but I have not enjoyed this as I've not been, you know, shy about. It keeps getting progressively more absurd. I can accept absurdity to a degree. I accept what was going on at Susie's house. I think it was stupid and unnecessary, and was a little. It was just a little too over the top, too almost caricature-ish. But this is just. It's Cloverfield. You know, it's 10 Cloverfield Lane before it was 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's 10 Lane, pretty much. And then the prisoners get taken to their Last Supper. The Last Supper. I hate listening to the sound of exaggerated eating sounds. I know it's supposed to be gross, but it's just like, it's like that ASMR stuff. Just, I thought about doing a video, seeing how long I could last before I take the headphones off, because I hate it that much. And then the part where Hopper's talking about the monster not of this world and describes it, and I wrote a random slave camp has access to the Upside Down monster. I wrote other side because I couldn't remember Upside Down at the time, and I also write in the dark. And then the attendant, whatever, at the Hawkins underground facility thing where all the kids are being experimented on, talks about number 1, who supposedly didn't exist. He's not a myth. He's real. And 11 finds out Papa lies. Of course he does. Of course he does. And that poor guy was getting tasered later. That was sad. And he tells her, this place and the people here aren't what you think. So, watching this unfold for her. Like, I get what they're doing in getting her powers back, having her retread it, being older, but having blocked it out, but then reliving it and remembering, and, you know, fixing that, the wiring in her brain. And I also get not having her there also forces the Scooby-Doo gang to figure this out on their own. You know, using their own collective talents to trying to figure this out. So it's cool. And then I wrote, you know, is the attendant guy, I don't know what to call him, but I can't think of the word right now. It's really freaking high, yo. I wrote, is he going rogue in her mind? Which, of course not, but at the same time, if these are memories, then okay, it makes sense. Then we have the stupid town hall meeting, 17 going on 26, starts quoting the Bible, because of course he does. People who haven't read the book or actually follow what it says like to quote it a lot for their own personal means. In the 80s, it was fucking obnoxious. I mean, it's obnoxious now too, but you know. Oh my God, heavy metal music's the devil, and D&D and the Satanism. I would like to say Americans have gotten smarter, but they're just scared of new things that they're, you know, brainwashed to be scared of. It's America. Yeah. Someone please adopt us. Please adopt us. Norway or Finland, or those would be nice. Then they figure out the wonky gate. And then Susie's dad, he's not a very good one, walks out, and they sneak in to get the location, and you know, and Susie was much more tolerable this time, which was good. This is a better use of her character than last season. Same thing with Lucas's sister. Her usage this season is much better than last season. I thought she was... I liked her character. I did. But at times she was a bit much. I know she was supposed to be. And the actress does a fantastic job. But at the same time, the way they worked her character was a little kind of like, take it back a little bit. You know, she's being used okay here. But then when the dad is walking around and he gets like shot with the plasticky arrow and the death scene and and the kitchen's on fire and the swords and all that, and I'm like, you are a crappy father. Just saying. How are CPS not there? Then we see 11 be the recipient of magic power bullying, which was, you kind of get why she lashed out now. It wasn't just her getting her powers and then just going mega ultra crazy nuts. But at the same time, I felt bad for her because like no matter where she went, she was getting bullied. It's like, God. Like kind of reminded me of like how Hopper talked about being cursed. And I mentioned it before as well. Another way I think I'm cursed is I've always thought growing up, I emitted this pheromone or something that just said pick on me. Because I've been picked on from such a young age. I was a little guy when I started getting picked on. And I never understood like why it was always me. You know, in grade school and we have, you know, junior high here in high school in America. It never let up. It just got more and more and more and more. And in high school, it's just like the apex. It was awful. As I've alluded to before. No matter where she goes, she gets bullied and picked on because she sticks out or she's different. And when you're like that, it's like her. She's confused. Like, why am I the target? And you wonder that. You do, especially if you've had it happen to you from a young age. Like she was young when it happened to her, and it's been happening her entire life. When she finally escaped and got a life of her own, she's still being bullied and still being picked on. So I can relate to that, and that feeling of isolation and I'm the freak. Something's wrong with me. Why can't I fit in? Why doesn't anybody like me? And why do the people who say they like me, why are they not? Why are they not really there for me? Why are they not really my friend? You know, that kind of thing. I could go deeper into it. But it just reminds me a lot of what I went through. I mean, I wasn't getting like magic power bullied, but thankfully. But it just reminded me of my own past. And I wrote, oh shit, Steve's in the Upside Down. Ooh. So yeah, we are on the final episode of part 1. I asked TJ when part 2 comes out. He told me July 1st. I am not sure how I'm going to release these. I may just wait a month and then release them in the thirds. That's what I was going to do. I thought like part 2 was going to come out like next week. I didn't think it was going to be a whole month. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, I need to turn the air back on and hit play on this as we go to episode 7, the final episode for part 1. It is super freaking long. So I'm going to have a bio break and stop sweltering in this god-awful heat because summer sucks. Huh. All right. Before I get into my thoughts on that, I got to process this for a second. While I do, I want to say that during that episode, I injured myself. I had a bug fly in my face. And I went to swat it, and I slammed my hand on the lip of the desk, and my finger is starting to swell up because that's where I hit it right here. You can see like the spot where I hit it. So I've had an ice pack in my lap with my finger on it for like the last half hour of that episode. So we're gonna try and block that out while I try and process this. So also, it is daylight. It is trafficy. It is almost 8 in the morning. That's what happens when you binge all night long. So, Vecna is, in fact, number 1 from the lab. And that is a lot to process. On one hand, from a narrative point of view, it's super convenient, bear with me now, that the exact monster that the Scooby-Doo gang is fighting is also the same monster that 11 created. On the other hand, I don't hate it. I think it's very intriguing that the child was Victor Creel's child and was him the whole time. And did I not say, hold on, let me say and I told you so real quick. I rarely get to do that. So please allow me to indulge myself. Did I not say? Then they just close the door and leave. But maybe the spiders were a clue. Maybe, like, they weren't, but they could have been. Explore it. Why were there spiders in the vent? That seems very specific of a thing to not explore. But that's not the right clue. So we need to just explore it. Humor me. Come on. Okay, I'm done. This is a lot to just like, wow. Is it convenient? Yes. Is it Vecna being number one, and 11 creating him, and essentially did she create the Upside Down? Or did he just happen to fall into it? I'm thinking it's the latter. I'm thinking the Mind Flayer's already been there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if he's number one, he's that powerful. And Dustin described him as the Mind Flayer's 5-star general, which it doesn't seem that would be the case. Wouldn't he be like the most powerful thing there? But it makes his motive make sense. Why he's targeting people who are kind of broken. And especially targeting like teenagers who are going to be more vulnerable. Like from like a hormonal and, a maturation point of view. Not everybody, but in general, it makes sense. Like, I've wondered his motive. Like, I still think he's the amalgamation of all the things that I said. But this is one of those things where I literally just finished. Such has been the case for every single episode thus far. But this one, I'm going to have to think on. I need to think on this. And I'm going to save my overall thoughts. Like, I'm not going to do a part 1, part 2 overall. I'm going to save, I'm going to wait until part 2 comes out. Get my overall take on season 4 as a complete thing. You pretty much know where I stand as far as certain things. Yeah. So let's go to the notes and just talk about some stuff that happened in the episode. I'm still processing. Like, I was not like, it's so super convenient. And it's so almost too clean of like a narrative parallel when the roads just, now they're like, and everyone's on the same page now. There's still things I have problems with. Yeah. But I was not expecting that turn. And that turn of events. So yeah. Let's go to the notes. After they rescued Steve and all that stuff, I thought to myself, what is he going to turn into? Like, it seems like he'd be infected, and he would change into something like a Demogorgon. Maybe 11 would have to remove the stuff out of him, like the. Gotta say, when Robin was talking about rabies, I thought to myself, hey, the rabies question is fair. You're in the fucking Upside Down. You don't know what these things have. They could have upside down rabies, and we don't know what that looks like. Like, going to the doctor is a fair. It's a fair, logical conclusion to jump to. So yeah, Team Robin on that one. The poor guy's being tortured by the government, and he finally breaks. And that awful like heat box, like, I hate heat. I talked about summer, how summer sucks. Bugs. See? Bugs. This is what happens when you get fucking bugs. Tell me summer's on. This doesn't happen in the winter. Back to my notes. But I thought to myself, okay, even if you tell them what they want to know, they're still just going to kill you. It's a government. Come on, dude. Then Paul Reiser says, we're running out of time. Hawkins is running out of time. But why? Like, do they know the existence of Vecna? Since they obviously have on tape what really happened. But do they know he's alive in the Upside Down? Do they... If this threat's been around since 1959... Also, why now? Again, that's what there's a lot of answers I want. There's still 2 episodes to go, so I'm not like being like complaining. I'm wondering. You know, there's certain like things in the story, in the plot, that are question marks. Maybe they'll be answered. If they're not after episode 9, then we'll have this discussion again. But right now, I'm kind of like, why? Like, what do they know that they're not telling us? Because obviously that is like, you know, could be like Schrodinger's plot. The answer is both there and not there at the same time. That took me about like 10 takes to say because my stupid speech impediment. I did my best. It does seem convenient that the big bad that just decided to wake up almost 30 years later for reasons is the same thing that the town is being plagued by. It's the same thing that El created. It's just all the... But I don't hate it. I'm not complaining. I'm just kind of like trying to process it and mentally do these gymnastics. But there's 2 episodes to go, so there's more explaining to be done. But right now I'm just kind of like, okay. It took a turn I was not expecting. So, I'm waiting for like this big, like the finale with 11 and Dr. Brenner where she's like, "Rah!" to him. Because number 1 wasn't completely wrong. Like, I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm just saying like some of his motivation is gray area. Like there's no, you know, not everything is good and evil. There's a gray area even now. Like whatever Vecna's doing, whatever number 1 is doing, you know, is it revenge based? Yeah, I would assume so. I would assume he's trying to come back in some way. But to bring it back to what I want a moment where Dr. Brenner is like, 11, no, 11, please, no, I'm sorry, I blah, 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 it's Mom, Papa. She goes, my name is Jane. And I want that moment. Hope we get it. So, part of the Scooby-Doo gang, the elder Scooby-Doo gang, is in the Upside Down. And they fight off all the weird bat things. And I had to ask myself, where the fuck are the Demigorgons? Where's the Mind Flayer? Maybe it's not around because 11's not around. It had a connection with her. But maybe that's why. Maybe everything in the Upside Down is connected through Vecna. And once he's destroyed, the Upside Down just closes off forever. And she says, maybe he's like the pulse, the heartbeat of it all. Maybe he controls, like they have it wrong. Maybe like Dustin's hypothesis is incorrect. It's backwards. The Mind Flayer is Vecna's 5-star general. Maybe. I just wish we could have alluded to it a little sooner in some way. I don't know. This just feels like a left field villain. Like just way out of left field. But after this origin story, it's problematic if you dig into it. But if you take it on the surface level, okay. I'm not going to dig too deep yet because it's not over yet. So we'll hold off on that one. If you're trying to hide from flying evil creatures, apparently they're the only things that exist right now. There's no Demigorgons or anything. But maybe don't turn your flashlight on when you're walking through the woods, Steve. Just seemed kind of dumb.
Monster Slayer trumps Trader.
Does Monster Slayer really trump Trader? I think with the way governments want to spin things, that Trader is the most important one. It was a nice notion, but I think with yeah, we'll leave it at that. I could go on a tangent about that, but I won't. But it made me think. Then the elder Scooby-Doo gang is walking through the woods, as said, and they hear a noise, and Steve's like, whew. I thought, maybe don't flash the flashlight towards the fucking noise. It was after this that I wrote, how does the mind flayer fit into all this? And then it was answered like the next scene. It was good timing. I wrote, thank you. We find out they're in the past. They're in the past in the Upside Down 3 years ago when Will was first taken and the rift opened. So that's intriguing that time stopped there. They could play around with that in very interesting ways if they wanted to. I'm not sure if they're going to. Then we have this notion that Papa set it all up. Then what did you do to 11? And he was orchestrating the attack on 11 because he wanted them to kill her. As the orderly, which is the word I was looking for earlier. I said attendant. I was looking for orderly. Did not begin with an A. As the orderly said, he just wants control. I thought the coolest scene overall was the elder Scooby-Doo gang communicating with the younger Scooby-Doo gang from the Upside Down to reality. I thought that was really cool with like the light and Morse code and the light bright and all that. I may have hypothetically had a light bright until my mom in one of her, I don't know what she was on, but in one of her rages, stomped the shit out of it. You would not believe how many toys I'd stomped by her Godzilla tantrums. But I had a light bright for a little bit growing up. Yeah. I thought they were going somewhere when they go back to the scene where Dr. Brenner is talking to the kid who has a magic 8-ball and takes him out of the room before all the stuff happens. And I wrote, why did he take that particular kid out of the room? I thought that was going somewhere, that he was going to be important somehow. But it didn't really turn out to be. Then the orderly's trying to help 11 escape. And she says, you helped me, I help you, because he has a thing in his neck that we thought was a tracker, but it was obviously like a diffuser. If she hadn't offered to help, though, makes you think, doesn't it? Obviously, this played out exactly how it was supposed to, because it was a tape like of what happened. And then in the absolute definition of far-fetched and ridiculous and absurd, we see Joyce and Hopper and Murray and all that. We see Joyce and Hopper reunited after the Demogorgon battle that they have somehow. If it's explained later in July, fine. But right now, we don't have all the answers, so I have nothing but questions. So I wrote, that's sweet, because it was far-fetched, but sweet. And then I wrote, yep, he's number one. Nice twist. And then the realization, she didn't help him. Well, she did, but she didn't like help him the way she thought she did. She freed him. And the idea that she's so powerful, she can overtake someone that was so scary to Dr. Brenner. He put that inhibitor in him. Granted, she's powerful, but it's like Doctor Strange getting his powers 15 minutes into the movie and then can defeat Caligulus. And so yeah, just saying, it's fine. It is. I'm not like bitching about it. I thought when the elder Scooby-Doo gang was climbing up back into reality, I thought that Vecna was going to close the rift on the last person. It was going to be Steve. He's going to be stuck there. But no, he took Nancy. And is punishing her for what happened to Barb. But it's at the same time showing her his origin story. While at the same time, we find out like dual origin stories from, the reality-based origin story to the upside-down-based origin story, which I think is probably some of the strongest storytelling and visual storytelling, rather, that we've had in the season so far. I think it's one of the reasons I don't hate it. Because it should bother me. It should. But I think they did such a good job of layering both and then bouncing back and forth between them that we got this fractured origin story that pieced together nicely as it went. Again, it is, if you think too hard about it, it will fall apart. But at the same time, it was just structured so well that I said I couldn't hate it. And then can I just say that the gentleman who plays the orderly, they cast him very well, because I said, like, once he turned, I said they cast him as looking evil very, very well. Like, he had very striking features, and it kind of caught your eye in the beginning, but for the turn, it made sense because he had that sneer. Almost has this like Willem Dafoe quality about him with the sneer and just the evil eyes. Like he was facially, like as far as expressions and everything, he was cast perfectly. And then Nancy enters the dream world. I was like, they went full Nightmare on Elm Street now. Full Nightmare on Elm Street, which is fine. At least they're not hiding it. So they're aware. At first I wrote, he's Creel's kid. Because I was like, oh, this is so fucking convenient. But let's wait and see. See, the spiders in the jar were important. And then number one's giving a speech about time and people.
Wake up, eat, work, sleep, reproduce, and die.
That entire speech was aces. It's 100% true. It's how I feel. Sometimes I feel like I'm wearing the glasses from They Live, and I just see the world like for what it is, and everyone else is just like these like automaton robots consuming and obeying and doing what they're told. His speech is dead on with a lot of my own philosophies.
Humans are a unique type of pest, multiplying and poisoning our world, all while enforcing a structure of their own, a deeply unnatural structure in a silly, terrible play day after day.
For me, he's gray area. I don't think you should, murder people, but especially, innocent, children and whatnot. But his speech in and of itself, in the capsule, I kind of identify with and I agree with. Now, if I had the powers, I don't think I wouldn't do that. But kind of see where he's coming from. As he says,
I could restore balance to a broken world. A predator. But for good.
Both Justin and myself have said many times in Doctor Who's and whatnot that the difference between hero and villain is perspective. His perspective is of the hero. He's doing good. He wants to do good. I find that fascinating. I always find it fascinating when the villain thinks they're the hero. Just like I find it fascinating when the hero is actually the villain. It's very like, I was gonna give an example, but it'd be a massive spoiler. So, and then we find out that, of course he's Creel's kid, and everything that was happening, he was creating. He says that their parents pretended to be these noble people, but he says, I showed them who they really were. I showed them a mirror. He detests people who are fake, who are frauds. And I don't think it's fair to place that judgment on, young people who are still, if you were in a car accident, or if your brother died, or if your friend died. Now, Nancy's is a little, if we think back, he's kind of got a point there. But I don't think that, Fred should have been held responsible for that, I don't think. And, Chrissy, I don't know. But yes, he underestimated his own power, passed out, went into a coma. His dad was. Now, this whole, my father was framed for it and sent to prison just like I planned. Did you plan that? I thought you were going to levitate him and, it follows him. I don't know. I think that's probably the weakest part of his, villain origin story speech. Then he goes on this notion where he's talking to 11. He says, work with me and we can reshape the world. That sounds an awful lot like the jailer from Warcraft Shadowlands. And I wrote, Blizzard, take note. This is how you do it. Am I 100% behind this character? No. But this kind of villain in the Warcraft universe with that same motivation would have been aces. Because this lends itself to that fantasy. You can do anything. I like that. And this is also fantasy and it's science fiction, obviously. But I just thought, this is a more interesting jailer. Then they're having their, off. And I wrote, 11 can't beat Vecna, can she? And then I wrote, oh shit, did she banish him to the Upside Down? I wrote, whoa. And then, oh wow, she made the rift. So yeah. As said, this is going to take some time for me to process. I will say I'm simultaneously at the reveal, like just how convenient it is. On the other hand, I am intrigued to see where it goes. I have a lot of problems with this season. A lot. And I'm probably in the minority. But I'm still trying to go into it with an open mind. Even the stuff I don't like, I'm just dealing with it. Like, I'm not gonna. It's you know, Justin's favorite saying, it is what it is, which is not his favorite saying. He hates that. But yeah, so we're gonna go and call this now because it is super late and I need to get ready for bed. And yeah, we'll see what happens in 4 weeks when part 2 comes out, which will be in a few seconds for you, but for me, it'll be a month from now. Yes! Yes! Aww. Okay, we just finished episode 8. Not exactly sure why we had to wait a month to watch it. What do I know? I'm not in marketing. If I were, I would not be in the financial situation that I am in. Speaking of situations that we are in, the stories are starting to converge all back to Hawkins. We have the Scooby-Doo gang gearing up. They have a plan. They're going to go back into the Upside Down to fight Vecna Henry I directly. They're going to use Max as lure. And yeah, they have a plan. She's going to go to a happy place. And they're going to see if they can, I guess, yeah, just pretty much trap Vecna. Because they equated it to when 11 like travels in her mind. She's kind of like in a state of like deep meditation. So they surmise that Vecna would do the same thing. Sorry, I cannot get comfortable. Then on the other half, we have Team Stoners with Young'uns. They are using the coordinates that they were given by Susie. And they're trying to find 11. 11 is inside the underground bunker. Is having a tussle with Papa. This episode is named after him. I am not 100% happy with how he went out. But then again, it's Papa. If he came back next season, I wouldn't be surprised. I would like more story about how Vecna became like Lord of the Upside Down. That'd be cool. They did finally tie in 11 and Vecna and the Upside Down and all of it, that Papa was using her to try and find number 1 and whatnot. But I don't know. It just feels like, at the same time, it just kind of feels like how I compared another part, which we'll get to Cloverfield, the sequels. This feels very much like Saw. Like, the farther you get into the Saw franchise, the more convoluted it gets. Like, oh, I was here the whole time, and I was with him the whole time, and we were working together the whole time, that kind of thing. It's not nearly as like insulting. But I guess, I mean, if you're going to tie the loose end up, or you're going to try and tie in the previous seasons to this, okay. It's fine. I just think that the showdown really should have been between 11 and Papa. And we were going towards that. But then the bad government shows up. Well, bad government. I mean. And they storm the castle. And yeah, I don't know. Speaking of Cloverfield, 10 Stranger Things Lane happens. Why? What more can I say about the Hopper storyline? It's stupid. It's dumb. It's so fucking stupid. I stand by this. I do. I know some people like it. I've read reviews and comments. Some people like it, and that's fine. You're allowed to. Just like when I talk about Doctor Who and stuff. A lot of people disagree with me most of the time. But we're still cool about it. Like, we still have a conversation, and there's something... There's something to be said for like a rich conversation and disagreement. Because you can disagree civilly. Maybe they're seeing it through a lens that you haven't. So you might not agree with them, but a different perspective is cool. So if you don't agree with me on this, totally cool. The more we go on with it, the more it just didn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. this freaking slave labor camp was also mad scientist place. And it would trap demigorgons somehow. It's dumb. It's really, really stupid. And like I said before, and I still stand by this, it just feels like they tack this on like 10 Cloverfield Lane just to give all the actors something to do. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, it's all absurd. Yuri still sucks. He is not funny. He is annoying. I know it's supposed to be annoying, but he's not annoying in like the funny way. He's annoying in the like, can you stop? Like, every time we go from the Scooby-Doo gang, you know, and the 11 stuff, every time we go from that to anything with Hopper and Joyce and Murray and Yuri, whenever we go from this to that, it just kills the flow of the episode for me. Like, it's just like, okay, we're doing okay. Oh, we're back here now, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to mean it. This doesn't mean anything. And tacking on this stupid bullshit with the slave labor camp just happened to have a portal to the Upside Down that they could somehow contain. And only demigorgons came through, and it looked like a portal that was like hurricaney. Is that gonna tie back into the end? Are they gonna defeat Vecna and then like, ha 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 ha, I had a portal you didn't know about, ha 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 ha? No, it'd be more like, Max, I have a portal you didn't know about, Max. That hurts. I've heard people saying that it's sweet because it's showing the links that Joyce will go to for Hopper. Yeah, I'm not saying that that's not a thing. I'm also saying that it's not necessary. Like, they could have. I'm sorry. The biggest mistake this season has made so far is allowing Hopper to A, live, and B, live the way he did. Like, it makes no sense. It's for him to be alive and wake up at the bottom of that room is insulting. It is. And everything since then has been insulting to me as a viewer. It is bad storytelling. Like, there's one more episode. They have one more episode that's like 2 hours long, 2.5 hours long. They have that to tie it back in. I'm waiting for the tether outside of slave labor camp had Demigorgon trap. Conveniently had it. Max is still the MVP of the season, and that's what baffles me. It's like, how can you write such good characters here, but then write this garbage over here? Do you only have like a tank and your tank is empty, so you just have to like coast on empty here? I don't know. 11 is now back with the gang, half the gang, and they are going to Hawkins, where the gang will somehow all meet back up, even though the Scooby-Doo gang fractured because Lucas, his sister, whose name I can never remember, I hate it, I feel bad, and Max, don't go into my house, Max. Go downstairs and see Pennywise, Max. But yeah, they split off. They're going to lure Vecna, as said, and the rest of the gang is going towards the one of the portal things, cracks, rifts things, gates. There we go. And then there's 4 gates, 4 chimes, 4 victims. Again, another issue I have with the season. The first guess is the right one. Like, it makes sense. I'm not saying it's far-fetched. I'm just saying that it could have been... Does anybody see what I'm saying? Like, it's just too convenient. But again, as I've said many times, I understand this is how we move the narrative forward. But I think we could do it in a better way. And I think there's a narrative we don't need to have at all with... Cloverfield over here. 17 going on 26 is there. He's still annoying and stupid. His friends are still sheep. Stupid jock sheep. He and Nancy has confrontation. I would have kicked him in the balls right there. I imagine they're going to show up. I imagine they're going to show up at the lake. I bet money when the rest of the gang that drove off to go to the gate, 17 going on 26 is going to be there. I want him to be taken. I want him to be Vecna'd so bad. I want stupid military guy to be Vecna'd so bad. And poor Paul Reiser, he's just stuck. He's going to have to do a freaking Gerald's game to get out of there. You're welcome for that. But yeah, let's go to my notes and talk about anything in particular that I wrote down. So we open up and Nancy is still trapped. She's still in like Vecna's mind or whatever, being shown Vecna's origin story. I would like to have seen more of that. Vecna being taken from little kid number one, who had just murdered, his mom and sister and completely just destroyed his dad mentally. To go from that to orderly number one, I wouldn't mind seeing a spinoff, like just one season, just one. Just showing how number one, Henry, became number one and how he got to be subdued and what happened. Like I would love to see like more behind the scenes. You could even have it being like, I'm assuming Vecna's gonna be defeated by 11 and the gang in the last one. And then will she lose her powers forever doing this? I don't know. That's speculation. But it'd be cool if, like, in his dying moments, that's what this season would be. Like, the season of Vecna. From his, journey to being number one. Then from number one to the Upside Down. Show his point of view of everything that's happened. He's been asleep for, like, 30 years. Show it. Not all 30 years, obviously. But, like, show the journey. And how he became, like, the Lord of Upside Down. I still think you could cut out all this stupid Hopper and Joyce bullshit. Hopper's dead. Keep him dead. Keep Joyce there. Have her go on the road trip with the Stoner gang. And it would make for a more fun dynamic. She's a responsible adult with her son and his friend who are potheads. And then you have like Will and Mike who are just as annoyed with it as she is. I think it would have been more fun that way if Joyce was along for that ride. But you cut that entire plot out. And then you give more time to Vecna. Flesh out. I think I would like him more as a villain. I got to know him more as a villain. Because we've had like 4 seasons now to get to know 11 as the hero. But they keep throwing these like villains on top of us. And the first few have been fine. It's either been the government or something from the Upside Down. Here we are now, season 4. It's the government and something from the Upside Down. I just think that if you want to sell your villain as being interesting and dynamic, you have to make them interesting and dynamic. And Vecna is not. Vecna just feels like the monster synopsis, just this copy and paste of all these cool things that the Duffer Brothers like, put into one monster, one villain, one creature, entity, person, thing. I don't know. And then when Nancy is trapped, they're trying to find music. They're like,
what are you even looking for?
Madonna, Blondie, Bowie, Beatles, music! We need music!
This is music!
It was like that. It was. Like, that's another one of those things that growing up in the 80s was like that. Like, I remember growing up and Metallica was... like, heavy metal music was not respected. It was liked. I'm not saying it didn't have an audience. It obviously did. But it wasn't respected. And it wasn't until I was older and I went back and listened to it. I was more of a Black Sabbath Metallica guy. But growing up, I wasn't allowed to listen to it. And it was always like my uncle and his friends and all that who listened to it in their truck and would drive around and that kind of thing. And if you wore the Metallica t-shirt in school, you were the outcast. Kind of like Eddie. So, except, you didn't have as much confidence and charisma as Eddie did. So you were picked on. Much like in the early 90s, being a skater was bad. You were picked on for that. And I saw people get picked on. I saw skateboards being broken by people like 17 going on 26. The point is, I have a point to this. The point is, the irony of it all is going back when I was a little older and then really listening to Metallica. Listening to And Justice for All. Listening to Ride the Lightning. Listening to like the 80s stuff. And appreciating the composition of the music. Like, for anyone to say that that's not music, sit down, put these headphones on and listen. Tell me tell me that these like 10-minute long opuses are not some of the most awesome compositions that you've ever heard. Yeah, it's not a symphony. It's talent. It's talent. Call of Cthulhu. Listen to that fucking song and tell me that's not. Metallica's music, y'all. 80s Metallica is music. It was good music. That was like, I have yet to hear metal that is that profound. It might sound dorky, but it was. And it still is. It's so good. And it clicked with me one day, and I just heard it in a whole new way. And the fact that I once thought this, I was brainwashed into thinking it was, it was just noise. That is such an insult. So to all the Metallica fans in the 80s, who had to endure that, I'm sorry. You were ahead of your time. And it must have been maddening to know that this was some amazing shit that was being made. It wasn't just like 4 chords with some drums in the background. Metallica were doing something completely fucking different. And I'm on a Metallica tangent. I should probably get back to the episode. They were good. Their 80s stuff is phenomenal. Go back and listen to it. It is amazing. Favorite album? Ride the Lightning. Let's go. And then the scene where Nancy is tied to the chair in Vecna's dream state. And she's being wrapped up by the tentacle things. I was like, this is so Freddy Krueger. This is so Nightmare on Elm Street. 1000%. But then Vecna does his like thing with his Resident Evil hand and says, "Tell Eleven everything you see. Tell her." I can't go deep because I have a sore throat. Phrasing. So I apologize. I can't go like growly. That hurts. And then fucking Vecna just gives away his whole plot. We had the villain exposition. We'll see. We'll see if Nancy has a chance to actually tell her. Or not. I just thought giving away the plan was kind of dumb. Just don't tell anyone. They won't jump to the right conclusion about the 4 chimes and the 4 victims and the 4 gates and all of that. Because she wouldn't have known. Like, that was dumb. That's such... I hate that kind of... I hate the villain exposition. Give the plan away. Then once they give the plan away, you know how to fight them thing. It's lazy. I'm sorry, it is. I thought it was very, very dumb. And yeah. Again, I get it moves the plot along. Just because it does what it's meant to do doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. Then we find out that stupid slave labor camp isn't just a slave labor camp. It's a mad scientist lab. They have 1 Demogorgon strapped down, but then they have a bunch in like tubes. Does no one see how that's kind of... It's dumb. Then we have this really touching scene between Mike and Will. Mike is scared of losing 11. And we finally get to see the picture. He brings a picture out. And it's one that she commissioned from Will. And it's like a dragon. And they're all fighting it. And it's Mike at the front with the shield with the heart and the crown. Showing that he's leading the charge. And that's how she sees him. That was sweet. Will, again, is coming from a reservoir of like... Something's tugging away at him. He says, when you're different, sometimes you feel like a mistake. And I can 1000% identify with that, yeah. Growing up, especially my teenage years, with trying to figure myself out and who I was, and at the same time being so unpopular and picked on so much, to the point where, where you're spilling blood on the lawn of your high school. You sit there and you wonder, am I a mistake? Is this all a mistake? Is me being here a mistake? Maybe if I wasn't here, things would be better for everyone. Those things cross your mind. And I've been there. I've been in the trenches. It's not fun. And then the whole entire time, Jonathan is listening. So I'm thinking this is like his epiphany that he needs to stay with Nancy. I think Nancy and Jonathan, I know they're a couple in real life. I think they're on-screen couple. Doesn't work for me. Not anymore, at least. I think that Nancy and Steve are a much better couple. Yeah, that's just my opinion. After, Mike's like, you think so? And Will's like, yeah. And Mike is sitting there and Will turns with his head and he's just fighting back, sobbing, and tears running down his face. You just feel for him, man. Like, he is... After everything he's been through, you know, it's like the pain and the torture still isn't over for him. He's still tormented by something. And I have a theory. And if my theory is correct, I get it. I get it. Not only just sympathizing, but empathizing. I get it. It's hard to watch because I've been there. I've been that person. I've been that, you know, young adult, that teenager. And it sucks and it's hard and you can't help what you feel and you can't help how you feel and you can't help who you love and you can't help all these emotions and everything that you feel, that you naturally feel, organically feel, you're fighting against. Because it can't be okay because you're told it's not okay. And it can't be accepted because you're told it's not accepted. And so not only are you trying to figure yourself out, you're trying to figure yourself out in the grand scheme of your relationships with your friends, with your family. Who are you? How do you fit? Where do you fit? If you are something that is socially not accepted, then does the love go away? I'm speculating. But based on my own experience in feeling like that, it's not easy. It's not easy. And I could go deeper into it. But let's just say I really, really feel for Will right now. And I hope that his character can find some peace somewhere by the end. But that's not how life works. And that's what this show is. Not everything works out the way you want it to. Like with Papa. That didn't work that didn't work out like I wanted it to. Not everything is, you know. Let's keep going. This is gonna be like the longest thing ever. I'm like not even halfway down with my notes. Jeez. Okay, finally, we get some explanation. Remember when Paul Reiser said, you know, like a war is coming and Hawkins is gonna fall. And the whole entire time I'm like, how do you know? How do you know? Now we know how he knew. He saw the pictures of the victims from Hawkins, and he said that he saw their eyes, and he knew immediately who it was because Vecna Henry I was sending them a sign. I get it's hubris, I get it on Vecna's part, but also keep your plan to yourself, and you could take over the fucking world. He could have, easily. He could have had Hawkins like that. Now he won't. He got cocky. You've had like 30 years to plan. Why would you plan for 30 years and give it all away? Like, I'm going to send them a message, and then I'm going to let Nancy know my plan, and just, come on. But at least that was touched. At least now we have closure to that part of it. Then we get the whole 4 gates, 4 chimes, 4 victims. Max offers herself as a distraction for the plan, and she says, whatever you do, try not to miss. Fair enough. And then the Scooby-Doo gang steals people's camper. I was like, those poor people. They were just sitting outside, enjoying themselves, having a relaxing afternoon, and their house gets taken from them. That's awful. That's awful. And then 11 projects and sees what's going on in the conversation about the 4 chimes and the 4 victims and all that. And she comes back. She's like, I need to leave. I need to leave and go help my friends. And Papa says, your friends are not prepared for this fight, and neither are you. Paul Reiser said, we told her when she wanted to leave, she could have. This isn't a prison. And I wrote, Papa isn't going to take nicely to being told no. And he wasn't. I have been to many an Army surplus store. Many. I like going to them. When I was younger in my travels around the country, whenever I go to a new city, it's one of the first places I would go. That and a Salvation Army and a Goodwill. I have never, ever, in my travels, ever seen an Army surplus store that fucking busy. At most, there's 2 or 3 other people in there. It is not like fucking Walmart on Black Friday. I've been going to these places for a long time. Never, from my childhood to my adulthood to my travels, I have never seen Army surplus store like that. And then poor Robin, she sees the lady she fancies with a guy. And yeah. And then the lady she likes looked kind of like yeah. There's a lot in Robin's story that, like, I'm not a lesbian. but we still come from the same tribe. And then you have the person that Robin likes. And this is just me speculating, obviously, but it's like she might actually be a lesbian, but she has to play it straight in order to have a normal life, because we've been brainwashed in thinking that heterosexuality, it's not. It's one of many normals. But I see life as a gay person like this. On a multi-lane highway that runs all kinds of ways, being screamed at that it's only a one-way street. It's not. And it never has been. If you think it has been, well, that's you turning a blind eye. Or people who wanted to drive on the highway, not even getting on it. If you know, you know. If you've been there, you've been. This is a spoiler for future stuff. I watched Umbrella Academy. That hopefully will be coming in the future. And just seeing a certain character's struggle and story arc was the strongest part for me of that season. There's something to be said for empathy. But I did write poor Robin, like, you know, and I also thought poor, you know, lady she likes. Imagine that you are a lesbian and you have to play it straight. You don't want to be with a guy. Like, but then, yeah, 17 going on 26 confronts Nancy. They have a very intense discussion. I said, I hope he gets vecna'd. Hope he gets vecna'd. I really do. Then Argyle finally did something useful. He found the tire tracks going towards the facility. He was really starting to annoy me. Nina could be a little woman. Shut up, dude. Just shut up. Seriously, shut up. And then we see the evil military on the way. Then after that, Papa traps her in that room. Says, you know, I know you could blow this door right off the bolts or whatever the hell it's attached with. But, you know, hear me out. She's like, no, I want to leave. And he says, when I decide you are ready, we will return together, Papa and daughter. I was just like, give it up for Matthew Modine. Doing a good job at being this manipulative, gaslighting douchebag who believes he's doing the right thing. Like, good writing for the character. I will not overlook that. Like, I don't like his character. It's because I'm not supposed to, because he's written so well. It's not like the 10th Doctor, who I don't like his character because he's written like awful. And then I said he starts gaslighting her, and, you know, trying to trick her into thinking he's, you know, he only has her best interest at heart, and, you know, everything he's doing is for a greater cause, and, you know, you're hurting me and all that bullshit. And then she says, for a while I thought I was the monster, but no, you are the monster. And I was like, yes. And she says, if you try and stop me, I will kill you. I was like, hell yeah. And then he drugs her with the evil military coming. And he says, you will soon see the truth, 11. Makes you wonder, if the evil military hadn't come, what did he have planned? Because he said to her, you just learn how to walk, then you need to learn how to run, so then you can learn how to fly. I wonder, like, how much better was he going to make her? Or was it just more gaslighting and bullshit and manipulation to get her to stay? But it felt like he had a plan for her. She wakes up after being drugged and she has a collar on. But she almost got him. I was there for it. I was there for it. Like, the one reaction you're going to get from me for these is the moment that I wanted and didn't get. Then we have military versus military, evil versus good. Put that label on whatever side you, or none of them is, I don't know. And I wrote, poor Paul Reiser. My dude's just trapped there, but he has an escape. I mentioned it before. And then Papa is carrying 11 out of the bunker and gets this annoyingly valiant sequence where the gunner in the helicopter is shooting at him, finally hits him in the chest, finally drops 11. And I wrote, this is not how I wanted him to go out. It's not. Damn it. And then 11, like, rah! And even with a collar on, crashes the helicopter. That's pretty cool. And I wrote, like a boss. But even though Papa did not go out the way I wanted him to, and it was much too noble for his character, I do like that he died without satisfaction or resolution. Because he says to 11, you know, please tell me, like, everything I did for you, and I had your best interest at heart, the same song and dance he's been doing. Please tell me you understand. Please. And she doesn't. She just drops his hand and walks away. I like that. I like that part. At least we got that. It ends, as I said, with the Scooby-Doo gang splitting up. And we're on to the last episode. The last episode that's like Marvel movie length. No complaints, though. My hopes for the last one. I don't know. Like, I'm so not invested in Vecna. And I'm here for the characters. So I'm hoping that... I don't know what I want. I want Joyce and Hopper to go away. Like, the Joyce and Hopper crap is just going to take up so much time that it doesn't deserve to. Time that could go to making Vecna a better villain, as I've stated. I'm not excited for it, but I am interested in seeing number 1 versus 11. A power battle. But I hope it's not the same old, where she just screams and her eyes bleed and stuff. And interested to see how the Scooby-Doo gang's plan. Because now the trio is there at the house, at Pennywise's house. Because so then what if 17 going on 26 and the douche jock brigade catch up with them at the lake? That's going to put off the timing. So there's that. 11 has to get back to Hawkins somehow with the bad government on their tail. So we have bad government thinking 11's doing it. We have 17 going on 26 thinking that Eddie did it. And well, who done it? Didn't do it. Couldn't do it. Yeah. If anything, I just want 17 going on 26 to be Vecna'd. Just at least give me that. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to. And I hope that the people get their house back. Because I feel really bad for them. But yeah, we're going to break for lunch. And then after lunch, we're going to finish up season 4, give our thoughts, and then do an overall thing, which I've kind of done that. So I'm pretty sure episode 9's review will just be me going through the notes immediately and then going to overall review. So we can just kind of balance it out and not retread the same things over and over and over, which we're going to do anyway, but let's keep it to a minimum if we can. All right, so break time. Turn that air back on because it is hot as hell, and I will see you on the other side.
Hi.
Stupid onions. Whew. All right, so that wraps up Stranger Things season 4. Got a little verklempt at the end there. That was sweet. Yeah. All right, I have 5 pages of notes, y'all. So we're just gonna jump into the notes, and we'll talk about everything in a little overall season roundup. So yeah. Oh my god. Okay. So we open up with Hopper and Joyce and Murray and Yuri, and I wrote, we're opening with this. Boo. Boo. But damn, Hopper's scars, man. Holy smokes. That looked rough. There's a scene where this is just me being a smartass. I'm trying not to sniffle as I talk. I was in that scene in the cabin, I was a little chopping onions. I'm getting a little emotional. It was very so Joyce was like, you know, if I had to do this again, I would choose it again. And I was like, what about your kids, lady? So then Hopper and Joyce start being all flirty and sexy with each other. And what are you going to have? And what's for dessert? What's after dessert? Ooh la la. And I wrote, Hopper has to be so fucking horny. Like, Oh my God. That poor human being. And then I thought they were foreshadowing when Nancy said nobody deviates no matter what to the plan. I thought she was going to deviate. I thought they were setting that up, but they didn't. I kind of like to predict things sometimes as I'm going with my messy handwriting because I write in the dark when not on camera. I usually have all the lights off. I thought when they were climbing up the two-way like rope, the sheet rope thing, I thought Eddie was going to go up there last and 17 going on 26 was going to show up. But, that didn't happen either. A lot of my predictions just weren't right. I like the idea of 11 piggybacking in Max's mind to get to Vecna. I did like that a lot. I know I've been very critical of this season. I think very much fairly. So, but I really like that a lot. And then, okay, trying to be critical again. I wrote, so that's why the gate is in Russia. So they could fight it with the demigorgons and the smoke, what do they call it? Like the particles and the shadow. Like I thought it was another gate. I'm not really clear on what that was. If you can help me out in the comments, that'd be cool. I think that was just so weird. Like we're gonna fight this to buy our kids some time. How? It didn't seem to do anything other than to give Joyce and Hopper and Murray something to do, which was what the entire thing felt like. Just there could have been a better way. There could have been a better way. We'll keep going though. I like that everyone was remotely working together. So we had the Scooby-Doo gang split into two parts. One was in the Upside Down. One was in Pennywise's house. Then we had the other group in the pizza place with 11 trying to do that. And then we had the nonsense side of things helping. I will apologize. I don't apologize for my opinion, but I imagine if you really liked the Hopper storyline, watching these videos has been a nightmare. So I'm sorry, but they make the salt tub. I really, really liked Steve's crawl forward speech. He said he crawled backwards and, then eventually went down the stairs, landed on his head. So he had confidence, but not the smarts. And that was a really good speech. And him and Nancy were reconnecting. As I've said, I think they're a much better couple in the story than her and Jonathan. And it was at this point I was like, can we just get the 17 going on 26 part over with? Because I knew it was coming. Then the weakest part of the show decides they're going to break back into prison. Because, yeah, another wrong prediction. But I thought it would have been cool if it had happened. So I'm going to say it. Max and Lucas are being quiet inside the house to not draw attention to themselves from Vecna. And I thought for sure that 17 going on 26 was going to storm in the house, making a ton of noise, drawing in Vecna, and Vecna was going to attack him. That's what I wanted. I didn't get that. It's fine. But it was just another failed prediction. So remember when I compared this to I Know What You Did Last Summer? We had this scene.
What are you waiting for? Huh?
And I had the biggest smile on my face. I felt so vindicated and so just like, this has to be on purpose. I think me doing Monster Synopsis is just me picking up on all the things that they were not subtle about and putting them together. I'm not saying like some smart guy. It's not that hard to figure. They did it very overtly. The nods they give, like when they mention Freddy Krueger and they do this. I just like that I was on the nose with some of them. So I liked it. Then there's a scene where Mike and 11 and Argyle are talking and Will's watching them all have fun and laugh and looks really, really sad. And you just want to give Will a hug. He just needs a hug, from anybody. Somebody give Will a hug, please. Oh my God. But he did finally get one. He did. Because Will and Jonathan had a really nice heart-to-heart.
And I'll always be here. No matter what. There is nothing in this world that will ever change that. You got that?
Yeah.
Those words are so important. If you're not struggling and you feel like you're kind of drowning in yourself, you don't know how important those words are to hear from someone. I will be here for you no matter what. Whether you want to call it drowning or falling or whatever, and that is a safety net, that is a helping hand to help you out, to help guide you. I thought it was really well done. And I thought they handled Will's character really well. And I'll talk more about that a little bit in the synopsis. But for all the issues I've said it before, all the issues I have, when they do the good things, they do the good things really well. And that was a good thing. It was well acted. It's been well acted. I would like to have heard that when I was 16, 17 years old. And I felt like I was drowning in myself for my own reasons. So that scene just was really touching to me. And just the relief on Will's face when he heard it, I can identify with that. And just one tether is so important, especially one that you know you can trust. And I really, really like that scene a lot. So, Pineapple on Pizza. It's not out yet, but Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 10. When I get to it, I'm going to do an outtake, a snippet, where I go on a little tangent about pineapple on pizza. So, this is in reverse order, but hopefully I can remember to come back to this and put a link to the video in the card up above. But yes, I touch on that. So definitely keep an eye out for that in the future. And then Max confesses about Billy. You know, she thought about him dying in a car crash or something bad happening to him, trying to bait Vecna in. And it works because Vecna starts using Lucas as a conduit. So last episode, I don't know how much I left in or I'm going to leave in because I haven't edited it yet because I just watched it. But I kind of went on a little tangent-y thing. It's what I do. I'm sorry. I don't mean, it's not like on purpose. It just happens. About Metallica and how they are, from a composition standpoint, musically, so underrated by so many people, especially in the 80s. Oh my God. Even I didn't appreciate them until later on in my life when I was allowed to listen to them. But Eddie playing along with Master of Puppets to draw in the bats was so fucking cool. So it was a really cool moment. And as a huge fan of 80s Metallica, I was just really, really, really pleased. It'll be fun when I watch this with Justin in the future, where we do reactions. And reacting to this is going to be a holy crap 2.5 hour episode. How am I going to do a full reaction for Patreon? Oh my God. Holy crap. And I'm sorry, but the stupid Hopper subplot keeps ruining the flow of the show. This episode was Marvel movie length. And every single time it came on, I would write, and it's ruined again. The flow of the show is just ruined. It comes to a screeching halt. And we have to pause, get through all this crap, then go back to the interesting stuff. And we got to what I wanted later, but it proved that if we had done this sooner and more, it would have been infinitely more interesting than what we got with Hopper and Joyce and Murray and Yuri. I stand by that. I absolutely stand by that. So they get back to the prison, and all the Demigorgons are let loose, and the particles and shadow thing, and the I was wrong line. Then we cut back to Pennywise's house, and Max is in her dance memory now, her happy place, and 11 is trying to get there. Like, she's in an early memory when she was skateboarding, but then 11 sees a table from the dance up there and goes up to it, and et cetera, et cetera. But then finally 17 going on 26 shows up. And then just when that's getting good, Hopper time. Blah. Ruin the flow. Hopper says, we trap them, rain fire on them, and hope that it gives 11 and the kids the upper hand. How? I'm sorry, this whole entire subplot feels half-baked. It's freaking 10 Cloverfield Lane. It is. I'm sorry, it is. But I did appreciate the nicknames, the Grill Master, the Jailer, and the bait. And then the vines start attacking Nancy and Robin and Steve, and it's like getting really intense. Hopper part, again, ruins the flow. Dustin and Eddie are climbing back through the sheet rope. Eddie cuts it and goes off to be the hero. For once, he's not going to run away. It's kind of a good thing he did, though, with the end, maybe? I don't know. And then Max is being tormented by Vecna in her mind. He starts turning it into more upside down looking But then 11 shows up and Vecna. I wrote, oh yeah. She like kabooms him through the bleachers. And I was thinking, you need to go in there and double tap that. Because. And then Eddie is leading the. I'm riding the bike like Eddie was. He's running away from the bats. And it's just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Hopper part. Ruin the flow. Again. If I was going to nitpick, the bats were flying around Eddie in a circle a lot. On why they didn't swarm him. Obviously, it wasn't time yet. I get that. But realistically, then again, we're in the Upside Down. I'm talking about realism. Let's move on. 11 and Vecna and Max are all in Vecna's part of the Upside Down, like the house in pieces. He traps 11, and he's going to do his Resident Evil hand. And 11 says, Papa is dead. You know, and I know what he did to you, what he did to us, and trying to appeal to Henry. And she says, Papa was a monster. Vecna says,
but he was no monster. He was just a man. Mediocre man. That is why he sought greatness in others.
I like that. And then I said a little earlier, we got what I wanted. Finally, some fucking Vecna backstory. Finally. And what brief bit we got was good. He created the Mind Flayer. Holy shit. The Demigorgons were already there. So. But she sent him to an alternate dimension. And I like that. I wish we had more of it. I think that you could have made Vecna a way stronger villain if you had. Being a dead horse, I know. Just wait till the synopsis. And then everyone's in peril. Eddie with the bats. Hopper with the Demigorgon. Nancy, Robin, Steve with the vines. Lucas is fighting stupid 17 going on 26. Then we cut back to Vecna with 11. And Max is off, trapped. And he says to 11,
there was a time when I had hoped to have you by my side. But now I just want you to watch.
Ooh, boy. And then Vecna starts to turn Max. And I wrote, once again, Vecna's taking 400 years to turn Max. I'm assuming it's because she was fighting him off, like trying to hold on to that good place in her mind. So I'll let this one go. But, everyone else got turned like that. But also, we needed 400 years for Vecna to turn Max, because Mike was trying to pep talk 11 into helping, fighting back. He says, I love you, and I love you no matter what, with powers, without powers. It doesn't matter. It was really sweet. And then, holy Jesus, on a cinnamon cracker in the middle of a hayfield in spring. Why was there a Conan the Barbarian sword lying in like the Demigorgon pit? I'm surprised they didn't light the sword on fire for Hopper to fight the Demigorgon. This entire plot, this. Moving on. And then there's some iffy dialogue here. Vecna's like, you and your friends believe you have won, don't you? But this is only the beginning. The beginning of the end. Like, oh, boo. You have already lost. No, you have. Like, God, no. It's awful dialogue. But also foreshadowing. Then we have a nice scene of Molotov cocktails and guns. Oh, yeah. So they're lighting Vecna on fire. Steve, Robin, and Nancy have lit Vecna on fire. Nancy's shooting the hell out of him with a sawed-off shotgun. Blows him out of the attic onto the ground. I'm like, go down there and double tap him. Why is no one doing that? It's number one. It's Vecna Henry the First. What do I know? We went through mediocre subplot for 9 episodes so that it could all climax in Hopper having a sword fight with a Demigorgon. And then Dustin goes back into the Upside Down to try and find Eddie. He injures his leg when he goes back in because there's no mattress on the ground to fall on. And in a very sad moment, Eddie dies in Dustin's arms. But he died the hero, and he didn't run. He said, "This is my year." That was really sad. And then I really like this moment where Max seems to be stuck in both places at the same time, because she can communicate with Lucas, but her eyes are still white. So her mind is still elsewhere. I was like, that's really such an interesting paradox you could play with. And they did. Because then Max dies. And I wrote, OMG, with sad face with a tear. That was sad, and I did not expect that. Once she does, the gates all start opening up. So I guess she just had to die. It wasn't necessarily Vecna had to be the one to do it. I thought he did. I thought he had to do his Resident Evil hand on her and on them in general to absorb like their essence or power or vitality or whatever. I don't know. But no, I guess you just had to die. At least partially in the Upside Down realm. Since you seem to be stuck in between both worlds. And then here is a dramatization of what happened next. Yes. Fuck that dude. And then the gates all start converging, opening. And I was like, lots of people going to the Upside Down tonight. They were falling up in there. In like the memory part, or not in memory, but like in the how Eleven can astral project herself. We're in the part where Lucas is holding Max, and Max has passed away, and she's like, no, not yet, no, and she puts her hand on her, and then 2 days later, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? But at least it wasn't some Hopper bullshit. I'll take 2 days later over that. I love when the stoner group is driving back into, I know they're not all stoners, it's Argyle and it's Jonathan. It's just what I call them. It's easy to, it's just, when they're driving back into Hawkins, everyone is driving out. Like, everyone's moving out of Hawkins. Smartest thing they've done. Then we hear on the news that the satanic cult is still blamed. The Hellfire Club is still blamed for everything that happened. Eddie is still the number one person they blame for it. That sucks, man. That sucks. A good line from the one dad. I forget his name. But he says, "It's the news, now indistinguishable from the tabloids." Which makes sense, because in 1987, Ronald Reagan vetoed the Fairness Doctrine. Look into that, and then look into what happened after it. That's all I'm going to say. But what he said right there immediately reminded me of that. So if you don't know your history about it, go check it out. Read up on it a little bit. That's all I'm going to say. Loved that Lucas was reading the talisman to Max in the hospital. The stoner gang shows up in the hospital to see Max. I need to call them something. The 11 gang. Call them the 11 gang. Okay. The 11 gang shows up to see Max. And they all walk in, and then Will kind of walks in. And I wrote, the actor that plays Will does an amazing job of looking uncomfortable in every situation. Watch his face, watch his body language. He's always just kind of like he just doesn't fit. He does a really good job of projecting that outwardly. So major props to Noah Schnapp. I know I probably said your name wrong, but I have a speech impediment, so it's the best I could do. But kudos, sir, for the way you play Will. It is fantastic on so many levels. Not that he'll ever see this, but... And Levin's in the room with Max, and she goes to, sit beside her. Because Max is in a coma. Max was dead for a minute. The fact that she came back is a miracle, they're calling it. But I wrote, maybe let her sleep. Wake her up in about 6 to 8 weeks. Because she's going to be in so much pain if you wake her up. Both her arms are broke. Both her legs are broke. She's in a neck brace. Let the poor girl sleep. Wake her up in about 2 months. Let her stuff heal. Then Robin gets her Vicky moment with a lady she likes. And that scene plays into an overall synopsis thing I'm going to touch on when we get there pretty quickly, because I'm almost done. And then they go back to the cabin, and they're cleaning it up because they need to hide 11 from the government, because that one guy's still out there. And then that moment when 11 goes in and she's closing the door and keeps it open 3 inches. And then Mike and Will are having a conversation on the sofa, and, you know, Mike is saying, you know, this is hard for 11 because she's never lost like this. But then we find out what we all knew is that from Will, that Vecna, number 1, is still alive. Which obviously, because ever since Will came back, he can feel him. I wrote, that's something you might want to tell 11. That's kind of important. That's probably should have been one of the first things you said. Like, hey, we could be back, but hey, I have a connection via the Mind Flayer, via the shadow stuff. I have a connection with Vecna, with the Upside Down. This is just me armchair writing. Like, I would have brought it up. It's very important. Like, that's very, very important. Like, this is 4 seasons now. You've been fighting this damn stuff. So then 11 is in the room, and you hear car doors, and the door opens, and it's Hopper. And that was so fucking moving that I cried. That was a really good scene. It was a really good scene. Do I still think he should have died? Yes. Do I think that if you're going to keep him alive, there was a better way to do it? Abso-fucking-lutely. I still say you run, like, remember how all of us theorized he went through the crack before the explosion? You should have done that. Should have done that. And let that be the motivation for 11 and everyone to save him. Like, or something, I don't know. Like, just do something different. What they did was so... Anyway. But it was very sweet and very touching. So, but then it starts snowing. Those little particles start raining down, and the goosebumps are on the back of Will's neck. And the score here was aces. It was like an orchestra of the Stranger Things theme. 4 times to say that. And it was just so good, so good. And then there's like part of the area is decaying, is dying. And you look back towards what I assume is Hawkins proper, and there's just like a plume of smoke and all the things, and yeah. So the Upside Down is bleeding into reality, and Vecna, Henry I, is not far behind. And those are all for my notes. All right, so overall thoughts. Some of it I don't need to say, obviously. The biggest negative is the Hopper storyline. It was 10 Cloverfield Lane. That's what it was. And just everything about it felt just hollow and empty and just very try-hard in trying to connect it to Stranger Things. Trying to connect that to the lore of Stranger Things was what was 10 Cloverfield Lane. It felt like like I said before, it felt like an entirely different subplot, like a spin-off in the Stranger Things universe. That instead of doing their own season for it, they just included it into season 4, and then kind of like very haphazardly duct taped some stuff onto it that was Stranger Things, like with Demogorgons and the lab, and that was that was weak. Vecna as a villain. I think the reveal in episode 7 was good. A little too convenient for me, though. There were way too many things that were too convenient, and way too many things that were, like, as I said many times in the reviews, the right conclusion. Like, you jump to the right conclusion every time, which wouldn't happen in real life. Again, this is not real life. I understand that. But if you're trying to write, like, true to life characters, and I get it's like horror sci-fi, I get it. But if you want to, like, make them grounded enough, then not every decision should be bingo the right one every single time. I think Vecna is one of the biggest missed opportunities in the franchise on a whole, out of all 4 seasons. I think if Vecna was portrayed properly and built up properly and given backstory properly and given enough time to explore the lore that he had to offer, I think he could have been one hell of an antagonist. And he wasn't. He just felt like this hodgepodge of all the things from Monster Synopsis. I get if they were paying homage to all these things that they liked, and some of it was very on the nose, from Freddy Krueger to, what are you waiting for, huh? Like, okay. Just, I think Vecna could have been done so much better. And I wish he was. Because he had potential. A lot of potential. The dude is like the Lord King of the Upside Down. That should be a big deal. He created the Mind Flayer. Everything that happened to Will was because of him. Well, also 11, because 11 opened the gate, as he said, and, et cetera, et cetera. But his motivation made sense. I just wish it didn't feel so ham-fisted and, I don't know, kind of lazy. I'm sorry. It did, I felt like the Hopper stuff was just like zero effort with like stuff just pasted on just to give the actors something to do, as I've said. But the Vecna stuff, I felt like they're like, well, I like this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. So I like Jeepers Creepers and It Follows and Resident Evil and Freddy Krueger and Carrie and The Ring and, It. Let's just make a monster that's all these things. Okay, cool. But make it feel organic and make it feel important. And for me, Vecna didn't accomplish either one of those things. You can lift from other horror properties and still make something organic and something that is engaging to the audience. And for like 90% of the season, Vecna just felt like a limp villain. And it just, and I 100% own up that I could be in the minority here. With this, with Hopper, with all of it. And that's fine. I'm not trying to sway anyone. I'm not trying to say that I'm right, you're wrong. I've always said that. I say it many times. I'm not trying to change your mind. It just didn't work for me. And I think it was one of the biggest misses. And that's why it bothers me so much, because it was Vecna, Henry I, had so much potential. It just sucks. It sucks that what Vecna could have been and what Vecna was. And I think if it had been written differently, and I'm not saying remove the Hopper stuff because I didn't like it. I'm saying remove the Hopper stuff because it killed the momentum of the show. Every single episode, it ruined the flow of the episode every single time. But if you would have substituted that with more Vecna lore, if you substituted that with more explore the people he's going after deeper, that way we have a connection with them. We feel bad when Fred gets taken. Give us more backstory on what happened to him. What happened to Chrissy? Give us more backstory. Give us more, make the characters more three-dimensional. You can care. I know it's a large cast. I get that. But if you're going to have victims like this that are that important, and there's only 4 of them, you need to make every single one count. And I don't think they did that. With Max, they did. Of course they did. But, yeah. I think those are the biggest missed opportunities. I think 11 getting her powers back was a little... Again, I say I get it. I do. But I wasn't vibing with it. I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it as much as I disliked the Hopper stuff. And I didn't dislike it as much as I think the wasted potential of Vecna was there. Overall. I worded that really weird. I apologize. And then it just ended up being like force pushing. Let's go to the positives. Some positives. The MVP is Max. The actress did an amazing fucking job with the role. She was given a lot to work with, and she knocked it out of the park every time. She carried the emotional weight on her back. Well, she didn't do it by herself. There were 2 characters that did. She's one. The other one, MVP number 2, is Will. Just hats off. Again, I said hats off to Sadie and to Noah for the way they brought so much emotional resonance to their characters. Now, clearly I can identify with Will's more, so it kind of resonated with me more. But Sadie just really... She was a powerhouse this season, and I hope that others felt that way too. I really hope that she's getting the love she deserves for her performance. Because I said, I've had a problem with the actress in the past for being the same character over and over in everything I've seen her in. She showed she's more than just like angry tomboy kind of bully girl, and I like that. And just, yeah, hell of a job by Sadie. And then Noah, his portrayal of Will was so... you could feel just the agony. You can just feel it eating away at him. He's lonely. He's confused. He's sad. He just feels like he can't be himself. If he comes clean about these things that he has inside of him, thoughts or feelings or whatever they are. He's going to lose everyone. People will stop loving him. They won't be around. They won't support him. And Noah did such a good job of not only carrying the weight of that pain and that suffering that he's going through. Earlier when I said he looked uncomfortable walking into a room, he just, from like acting to the way he delivered the lines to facially to just physically, he embodied this character that was terrified and scared and felt utterly alone. Even though he's surrounded by people he loves, he still feels alone. And I hope that Will also gets, in wrestling it's called getting your flowers. I hope Will gets his flowers for his performance, because damn, Sadie had more to work with as emotional range. Will had very limited emotional range to work with on purpose, because the character is boxed and doesn't know how to get out. So that's a box he's stuck in. He did such a good job of portraying what it's like to be all those things I said: scared and terrified and confused and sad and just utterly alone, feeling utterly alone. And yeah, he did an amazing job. And those two carried the emotional weight for me of the season. Number 3 MVP is 11. Millie does such a good job in this role. I don't think anyone would disagree with me when I say, when you picture the character of 11, I don't think anyone else could bring it to life the way she does. What else can you say? Like, she just plays this powerful but weak character in a way that just it's heavy, and you can feel the heaviness of it on her. And it's just cool to watch her come into her own as a character. And every season is ups and downs for her. But to see her having lost her powers and then get them back, even though I don't like how it happened, it's been really cool to see all of them, actually. But I think of her first. But it's been cool to see all of them mature into these roles. Because when we first saw them, they were like little people. They were just, and now they're growing up into like young adults. Makes you feel old. I appreciate that we subverted expectations in the season. Like, Max didn't just wake up. Good. She's in a coma, that makes sense. Part of her mind, she was in 2 worlds at once. You should not just be able to bring her back. So you brought her like this part of herself back, but her mind is still stuck. So I'm guaranteeing you, well, I can't guarantee it, but I'm betting that in season 5, her mind is still in the Upside Down. She's in a coma, but that's where she is. So if we don't see Max the Vecna Hunter, I'll be surprised. And then I like how things weren't resolved. Like, there wasn't happy endings to everything. And I like that. Like, Robin didn't get the girl. Robin had her moment with Vicky, but she didn't get the girl in the end. I'm not saying I like it because she didn't. I'm saying I like it because that's how real life works. Especially if you're gay and you don't know if the person you like is. I know from experience all too fucking well what that's like. Where they were like laughing and joking when they're making the peanut butter sandwiches. Robin's having a good time, but she's going to go home and just be conflicted. And she's probably going to cry. Just because she had a really good day with the girl she's in love with. And she can't do anything about it because she's not allowed to. Just sucks. And then I like how the Nancy, Steve, Jonathan thing isn't completely resolved. They kind of hinted towards it. Steve and Nancy had that moment in the Upside Down with the crawling backwards thing. And then when they were fixing the cabin, we had Jonathan and Nancy having a moment talking. So they're still kind of dating, but it feels like they're slowly... Because she said that Steve's growing up. He was like, oh, okay, yeah. Have you gotten your acceptance letter? So yeah, those are the major points that I liked. If I can remember any more, I will put them on the screen as text. Overall, I would give the season a B-. I usually don't grade things, but I am for some reason this time. I would give it a B-. Hopper is an F-. The Vecna story is a D+. It could have been so much better and portrayed so much better, etc., etc. And Max, A+. A plus. Will, A plus. And 11, solid A. So all the A's and the F minus, 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 and the D plus equals out to a B minus in my mathematical grading scale. Don't question it. But let me know down in the comments below, what were your favorite and least favorite things from this season of Stranger Things? What do you think they could have done better? And what do you think they did really good? And I don't expect Will be on a lot of people's radar as much as he was for me. So yeah, obviously we're getting season 5. Totally cool. I hope that this goes somewhere different. I hope the fights are actually... Like, I liked when 11 was like deconstructing the vines, the tentacles or whatever around her neck. Do more of that, like this force push stuff. Okay, you can move stuff. Okay, cool, but you've dissolved things before. You've closed gates. You're supposed to be more powerful now because you're no longer blocked. Let's do more with our powers. Hopefully, Vecna gets a redemption of some kind as a villain, as an antagonist. Hopefully the characters are still engaging and written well for the most part. Think whatever deity you believe in, that this Hopper crap is over with. He's back. Everyone's back together now. Let's do that. Everyone versus Vecna or whatever. Just make it interesting. Stop copy and pasting things. You know, seasons 2 and 3 felt like so much copy and paste on top of each other, which I'm saving a lot of that for when I do the reaction reviews with Justin sometime in the future. I look forward to season 5, but I'm very cautious about season 5. Cautiously optimistic, sort of optimistic. I don't think you need to break them up into like 1 through 7 and 8 and 9. I don't think you need to take a month to release the next 2. I do not mind them being longer. It's going to be a major task to edit these in the future when I do reactions and reviews with Justin, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I thought Eddie was a great new addition. I'm really sad to see him go. I liked his character a lot. I think there's anything else I want to talk about before I wrap it up. Susie was kept to a minimum. I thought her episode was ridiculous and not in a good way. And I guess, I don't know. I have a wish list for season 5. I guess we'll see if they can tick off any of the things that I want to happen. And if I am forgetting anything, I said I will try and put it in, but I have to wrap this up. My throat is really starting to hurt from all the talking and stuff. So if you watched this one, thank you very much. If you watched all of them, holy crap, thank you. This is my first time doing this kind of format, the episodic review. So I'm trying to like, my brain is so like bleh from the heat right now. It's very, very hot. And I'm still processing like 2.5 hours of finale. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. As always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye. Bum 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 bum